work session is in order. We have the comprehensive plan update. I think that we want to kind of kick it off first.
She said she would be right back.
Did she? Okay.
I can kick it off.
Okay.
Then we can get to it.
Yeah.
So yesterday, Mr. Lakeworthy, hailing from Pennsylvania, came down and he gave the comprehensive plan subcommittee an update on where the project is, and we'll get a different iteration of that this evening. And he did a fantastic job yesterday, so looking forward to it again today. He's with Gym City and likes mountain biking.
I like road riding more now.
Road riding.
Yeah, I like
All
road
right.
riding more.
That's what
Yeah.
I'm talking about.
Sounds good. Well, the floor is yours, sir.
So, before I get started and dive in, does anybody have anything that they want to make sure that I cover? You're all familiar, obviously, with the need to do a refresh on the comprehensive plan. Are there any kind of burning questions? I wouldn't blame you if you said no, because it's not real sexy, but it's necessary. Does anybody have anything that they want to throw out before I jump in here? No? Okay. My role here, the way that I see my role, and for those of you that I know, some of you, for those of you that I don't know, I did the telehealth strategy for Cumberland Plateau, so I am familiar with the region. I spent, I would want to say, a disproportionate amount of time in this community, in this county, but I spent a lot of time here. I did spend a disproportionate amount of time here when I was doing work on that plan, but I was able to cover the entire region, so I have a pretty good understanding of the moving parts here. That does not say that I know even a tenth of what all of you do about the living experience here. So you have a comprehensive plan, which if I just had to give you kind of a visual, it is really the North Star on where your community wants to go over the next, say, 5 to 6 years. Here's the thing with plans today that I just want to mention to all of you. If we had the current CEOs of Apple or Alphabet or any of the tech companies come in and we said, give us your 5-year plan, they'd laugh at us and they'd say, look, we don't know where we're going to be in 5 years, because the world is changing so dramatically that the parts are moving quickly and we wouldn't want to forecast that far into the future. We are kind of forecasting that far into the future, but really with the proviso that you're probably going to want to do course correction in the interim and ensuing years. This is just going to be the reality that what we see today here can change dramatically. We inherited a plan that was done in vintage, before, a little bit before COVID. Obviously, the pandemic has come and gone. Even that dynamic is very different. So when they were writing it, we were kind of in the throes of the pandemic. The other thing I would just say, it was a good plan. It was a very detailed plan. My goal is not to replicate what the prior consultant did. I kind of look at that plan. We were going through it this morning. Leanne, Susan, and I were going through looking at different maps and trying to figure out the mapping components. And just because a plan's this thick doesn't mean it's good. My goal is to kind of give you guys more of a concise, to the point strategy. The other thing I want to mention before I dive in here, and I'm just going to do a flyover on some of the components. I'm not saying this because I'm in front of you. I would just tell you the way I feel about things regardless. This community, if I do a glass half full, glass half empty, this community has many more assets today than the average rural community, not only in Virginia, not only in this region, but across the United States. This community has a lot going for it. I mentioned to the group yesterday, when we look at a given community, the main street is essentially the living room of the community. So when you have people that come here and they come to your establishment and they say, hey, we have our motorcycles, we want to ride the roads here, we're going to eat here tonight. When they drive into this community and see what you guys have built here, it's very impressive. So you have that going for you. You have, I mentioned yesterday, I'm going to circle back on this today, you have a region that from a population standpoint is significantly in decline. The county is significantly in decline. But this community, this town is not experiencing that huge out-migration that we have throughout the region. So yes, you have some, within a band, you've lost population, but it's not as pronounced. Historically has not been pronounced, and certainly in the last couple of decades, it's nowhere near what we're seeing at the county and regional levels here. And I think it has a lot to do with not only that, what I talked about, your Main Street, but the amenities that you guys offer. The last time I was sitting in this motel, I was looking at the primary care facility, which was nothing more than some steel on top of a concrete slab, and I come here this trip and I see that facility is up and running and moving along. Most communities this size do not have the healthcare advantage that you guys have. They don't have that facility, they don't have Carillion, they don't have these type of assets. Then we add the cultural draws or the recreational draws that you have here, which are significant. So I'm writing this plan in that backdrop. That backdrop is, this is not your average small community in the United States, you know, that has a few thousand people, that's experiencing some decline in population. This is a community that can go from, in my estimation, good to great. This community has the bones, if you will, to borrow a real estate term. It has the bones. And the other thing I would just mention is, you know, the folks here, many of the folks here who are kind of rattling the cages are people that left the community, saw what was going on in the outside world, and then came back and said, how can we sprinkle these seeds here? These are all, when you look at demarcation, like how you're going to grow your community, these are all the positive sides, right? So that's kind of the context. That's my thought pattern when I write the plan, that I'm saying, how do we amplify what's already here? How do we make what's already here a good thing? That said, this plan, I'm really leaning into this idea that we need to make sure that we stabilize and things like housing. Because I mentioned all the good things, the bad things are things like your housing stock is old, you're not building a lot of new houses, you don't have high density housing for workers. Those are the kinds of things where I feel like you have to stabilize first and then you can self-actualize, to use a tired term. So this plan is really kind of straddling the line between all the good stuff that you guys have and what you're doing, but also giving you kind of a sober view of, hey, we need to do some things differently moving forward. This plan is also being written, and I'll show you, it's being written kind of in the backdrop of other initiatives that are going on. But I'm real clear that this plan, from a policy standpoint, from a vision standpoint, this does need to be the North Star that you guys follow. I already said I don't profess to know a tenth of what all of you know about this community, even though I've been here many times now. But I don't know this community the way that all of you do. I'm going to be providing Leanne and Susan with the copy of this document that I'm going to be scrolling through in front of all of you today, probably when I get back this week, although I already have a bunch of changes that I did today that I'm going to be adding, so it might be early next week. But I'm going to ask them to rip it apart, and then I'm going to share a draft with all of you and ask you to give it a hard look as well, because the ultimate truth serum is what all of you know about this community, and do you think what I'm giving you is realistic? And that's the other thing. I don't want to be negative about the prior instance of the plan, but this is not supposed to be, in a community like this, the sure bet is not saying, hey, we're here today, if we hit a grand slam, we can be over here. You're not in the grand slam game. This community shouldn't be trying to swing for the fences. This community should say, if we can consistently get on base, if we can hit singles and doubles all the time, and we advance our agenda, we will be in 5 years in a really great place. You also have to have the realization that if you do whiff, to use a batting analogy, if you're up at the plate and you keep whiffing, everybody else is going to pass you by. The score's not going to be in your favor because other communities are not standing still, and ultimately Tazewell is competing. You're competing against every other community in this region, although I believe in regionalism. But ultimately, at the end of the day, there's only so much to go around. So you are competing against everybody here. You're competing in the Commonwealth of Virginia, the bordering states that are here, and nationally, you're competing. What are you competing for? It ultimately today, the economic development game, and I have my certification in economic development. I do training and speaking. The game today is build it and they will come. When I look at your Main Street, it's build it, a neat Main Street, and let's attract talent. If we get talent here, everything else will fall into place. So all the amenities that I've talked to you guys about, this build it and they will come is not, I'm not saying you shouldn't build industrial parks. I'm not saying you shouldn't have business parks. But the real build it and they will come is, do we have quality of life here that makes people, and I said this last night and I meant it to two of you. I was driving in here on Sunday night and my first thought is, God, I wish my wife could see this place. She would dig this. This is really cool. You go into town, you feel good. You're like, wow, this is a cool little corridor here. That's the type of visceral reaction that we need to be generating on a variety of levels, and I'll give you a couple of reasons why as we go through this. So that's kind of my backdrop into this. I don't know, Leanne, if you or Susan want to add anything about how we're kind of the alchemy of how we're kind of getting from point A to point B. Did you guys want to throw anything in?
So I know that Lath has been amazing to work with. He has had a great turnaround time. We went on some excursions yesterday, and he has taken the subcommittee's feedback and guidance, and he has really put it into this plan. And I think you are point on with where you're going.
So all I want to do right now, and it's in front of you, by the way, you have my business card and kind of the synopsis that I'm going to go through in front of you. And the reason I'm giving you my business card is I truly want you to feel free to ping me if you have anything you want to say, or you think, hey, last night at 11 o'clock, I was thinking we should put this in the comp plan or make sure we're mentioning this. Please let me know those things, because again, I don't know a lot about what all of you know. You have the secret sauce here. It's my goal to try to get this out of you. But here's the essence of the plan. I've got about 100 pages here in terms of the plan, where it is right now. And realistically, for Leanne and Susan, I feel like within 15, 20 days, we're going to have something where we can probably go to VDOT and say, hey, this is where we are. Because that's a 100-day runway. Just getting them to approve this could be as much as 100 days. So we want to make sure that we're moving along with the plan. So I think we're in a good place in terms of our content. But basically here, I start off with some background, and you guys can see on the screen if you want to kind of turn around, you can see what I'm looking at here. I start with background, and then I start with legislative authority. And there are a number of legal precedents that we have to meet in terms of the Commonwealth of Virginia and what they expect in terms of your comp plan. So this is a checkbox list for them in many ways. For you guys, it's kind of aspirational and, hey, this is our North Star. For them, it's, do they have these elements in the plan? The last plan didn't even have some of the elements, not because the last plan omitted them, it's because the Commonwealth has come up since the COVID era with new stipulations on what they expect to see in a comp plan. A couple of those things, they want an economic component, they want a broadband component, they want to talk about manufactured housing. They have a number of new things that they want to make sure we are including in the plan. So these statutes, and by the way, the same attorney that I used for the healthcare plan I used, and she got back to me yesterday and said, everything you're citing here from a legal perspective is legit. Not only is it what the Commonwealth wants, but you didn't misdiagnose how this all fits together. So the legality of what I'm citing here right off the bat is valid for all of you. Then I really talk about the fact that this is a living document. It's a breathing document. Those of you that have done strategic planning at your respective jobs or whatever, you know, this is not static. There's a lot of moving parts, and that's what we're doing. Then I talk about the purpose of the plan, what it is, and equally important, what it is not. And I mentioned here zoning ultimately governs, and zoning does ultimately govern what we're going to do with the plan. So that part of this is covered. Then I talk about why the plan matters for you, where you are today. There's a whole section on that. It's kind of aspirational. And then we talk about what the plan contains, and really this can be broken down to these 3 items, and you guys are seeing a little bit more granularity in what's in front of you, but the 3 items are, where are you today? Situational analysis, essentially. Where is the community today? Where does the community want to go in the future, and how do we connect the dots and get there? That is the essence of what the plan is all about. So it is an honest assessment of where you are, kind of, if you will, community asset mapping in a variety of different ways. Where do you see yourselves in the future realistically, and how do you want to get there? That's what we're going to do. And then I talk about these other plans. And again, there's a number of other plans that have been conducted in the ensuing years. Ultimately, this is the plan that you're going to be held accountable to. I am leaning into some of those plans. I'm referencing those plans. I'm going to be using some of the collateral for those plans in the final stages of this. I'm not window dressing, not in a bad way, but there's some nice renderings in those plans that I want to bring into this as well, and kind of connect the dots here. But ultimately, this is the plan that you're going to be held accountable to as far as the Commonwealth is concerned. So I talk about that. The other thing here that I want to make note of, some of the other consultants, they are using data sources, they're using census data, but they're manipulating it through secondary sources. I am using census data. So you may look at, we might have something as simple as population, and we might be slightly off. I'm using the most current census data. They're using Claritas, a secondary source, and they're manipulating data that way. I mention that because, again, if you are going to get to that level of granularity, you might see some minor deviations, but it's not going to be anything significant. And I've gone through and done a lot of spot checking to make sure that we're on the same page with our planning. I start the plan off when after all that preamble, I look at a regional setting here. By the way, some of these maps are going to stay, many of them are going to be replaced, but for the session this evening, these are placeholders. So I talk about where you are within the context of the region. Here, we talk about location and connectivity, how you relate to other communities here. I do give a shout out to the Cumberland Plateau Planning District Commission. In my mind, they are a phenomenal resource for you and the entire region here. And we're leaning into them for a number of different things to get this across the finish line. But I talk about them as being kind of the catalyst in a number of things. By the way, we're going to talk about broadband again, but that's another area where you guys are definitely performing outside of your weight class as a community. Most communities across the United States with this population do not have this level of broadband deployment, and I would point to this very organization, this regional organization, as the catalyst, not only the instigator to think this through, but they were able to really amass a lot of funding to move the needle on this. So I can't say enough about them. Obviously I've worked with them in the past, but I think they do a good job, a wonderful job. Here we talk about population under their umbrella, and I mentioned we have losses. Your losses are not as significant, but the region has lost and hemorrhaged population, and as has every county. This community is not in that same degree of severity, but it's still happening here. Talk about the region in a broader context. And then I get into historical perspective. This was in the last comp plan, but I rewrote the entire historical perspective because I thought it just needed a refresh. So I'm not rewriting history, but I'm framing it differently. So here I've given you a different kind of a background and backdrop to the plan. To obviously coal and railroad play a disproportionate role in your history, and even in the current tense, there's a lot of connections there that we need to be aware of here. Then we go into demographics and population. This has all been rejiggered based on the newest census count. So you're into all this data that we inherited from the last plan has all been redone. And this is what I've spent my afternoon on, not this specific infographic, but what I'm trying to do is, instead of giving you like 4 paragraphs, I want to give you guys a quick way of summarizing where you are. This is an interesting graphic about your population because going back to the 70s, you can see you are falling within a fairly limited band. It's never feast, it's never famine. You guys, again, you've lost and gained population, but never outside a specific range. This is going to be more of what the plan looks like in the final iterations. We're going to be using a lot more of these type of graphics to tell the story. And then we still are going to show you the data, but we want somebody that's casually looking at this to understand what's going on. Age and sex, I mentioned yesterday to the group, and I want to mention to all of you, age is a concern. I gushed about how great all this stuff was when we started off. This is an aging population. That's obviously, when we look at economic development, it's who's contributing to the pie, who's taking away from the pie. You're having an increasing number of people who are taking away from the pie and not adding to the pie. And that's going to continue to get worse unless we find ways to infuse new population here. So we have to do that. And there's some ways we can do that. But the population here is getting older. Obviously, it impacts commerce. It also impacts just the general toll that government has to deal with here. Race and ethnicity, this is a fairly monolithic community. I mentioned to Leanne and Susan, I actually did work last year in the most diverse community in the United States, which is right outside of Seattle. It's Federal Way, Washington. They literally have every conceivable ethnic and cultural group there, and they're using it as a differentiator. But I mentioned this the other day, and I mentioned it twice now, I want to mention it again. Just by virtue of the fact that Susan gives me photos and you guys are celebrating Juneteenth, that tells me something very powerfully about your community. I mean, you're located in a southern, quote unquote, southern state, you're in a rural area, and you guys are saying, no, we're going to celebrate this holiday and make it a big deal. When we talk about talent attraction, those are the type of genuine outreach efforts that people from the outside world pick up on and say, this is a cool place where I want to live. They're very welcoming. They want different people here. So even though today you have a fairly monolithic community, those type of little things or big things, however you want to frame them, they add up to tell a story about you that's pretty powerful, pretty compelling. And you can't manufacture this stuff on Facebook. It's not like just saying it's checkbox, yeah, we believe in it. You either do it or you don't do it. You guys are doing those things, and that's going to be, I think that's going to give you a real leg up when we talk about talent attraction. Again, fairly monolithic right now, but I think you have an ability to go in a different direction there. Households and educational attainment, this is another glass half empty kind of an assessment of your community. You don't have the educational attainment that a lot of competing markets have, especially larger markets, and you are competing for people with virtually everybody. This is an area that could use some improvement. So we have, that's again an area that's a deficiency that we find here. Your economic base, obviously, county seat here, you've got a lot of draw, and I'm going to show you some graphics and some migration here. But this is labor force and employment. The negative that I would give you is that you don't have a high participation rate. You all probably know that, right? You have a lot of folks sitting on the sidelines. There are a number of strategies that you can employ to flip the switch with people. None of them are foolproof, but something that we need to be thinking about with this plan and we call this out. We don't give you specific prescriptions above what you've already cited and the things that you want to do, but it's something that we need to think about, and we might want to amplify this area a little bit. Industry composition, I would say, given this community, given the fact that you're the county seat, given the fact that you've got strong government here, this is pretty strong. This breakdown of where you see employment not only is indicative for this type of a market, and I mean, we could be talking about Columbus, Ohio here as well, quite frankly, and these type of percentages would be fairly analogous. So nothing here scares me. This is pretty, it's pretty accurate for the type of community that you have here. Income and poverty, this is where you can see you're not only lagging the county, but you're significantly lagging the state. I mentioned to the group yesterday, Virginia is not, it's not like we're comparing you guys to like South Carolina or Louisiana, where the statewide income is not that high. Here you obviously have a number like Northern Virginia. You have some areas that are disproportionately skewing your numbers much higher. Virginia is a very, I don't need to tell you guys, very affluent state, doing a lot of interesting things on the economic and community development front across the state. So there is quite a disparity here, but again, for rural community, if we looked at other states, I don't think you guys would be benchmarking as negatively. You just happen to be in this state that's doing so well in so many different ways. Commuting and daytime economy, this is where we have some very interesting information here. Are any of you familiar with this on the map feature from the census? Okay, this is showing, this circle are people that live here and work here. This green bar are people that are coming into the community to work. This light green bar are people that are leaving. So this, quite frankly, this is the huge potential that you have above and beyond tourism and all the other stuff that you guys are working on. If you can just capture some of these folks that say, you know what, I'm sick of commuting every day. I don't want the half-hour drive in and out, whatever. If you just capture these people, and that means obviously more robust housing options, places for workers to live, it could be apartments, whatever. But this is why housing is so absolutely critical. You guys already have the other amenities. You have a newer food line, you've got the health care, what you're missing is there's not a lot of housing opportunities for people that say, geez, I'd like to cut out an hour of my day in and day out, 7 hours a week or 5 hours a week. How do I do that? They don't have a landing pad here, but this graphic tells, in my mind, this is kind of not the whole enchilada, but this is a big part of it. Because these are people that you should be able to capture. These are people, this is not like you trying to convince somebody in Montana that they should move here because they have equal quality of life, that have never been here before. These are people that are here every day, eating in these restaurants, hanging out downtown, saying this is a cool town. We have to find a way to grab them. So this to me this is one of those epiphany graphics for me and data points for me in this plan. And then this is nothing more than just a heat map showing where people are working during the day. And for those, we look at the community, this shouldn't surprise anybody. This is where people are. So at the end of every section, I do summary and implications. So if somebody's just a casual reader, and by the way, I will do an executive summary of this as well. So not only will you get the comp plan as a final deliverable, but I'll give you guys a synopsis that you can share with people that give them the highlights and the lowlights of this as well. So that's the summary here. Then we go into housing, and again, you guys understand what the housing situation is here. It's not only that you're not building new houses, but the housing stock right now is not, in many parts of the community, is not in good shape. So those are areas that you definitely need to be fixing on here, because the age of the housing is getting older, and again, you don't have, and this, again, I'm using infographics here that show you new housing construction, and you can see how it tails off here. This is not a good news story for you. Again, it's something that the nice thing here is it's actionable. It's something you can do something about. On the positive side of housing, your housing costs here are very affordable. So somebody with a decent job, they can really afford to leverage the income that they make for a decent home here. So again, this has to be about housing. I mentioned manufactured housing has to now be part of the comp plan. And this is a strategy. There's nothing wrong with putting this in. And your zoning, we talked to your zoning official this morning, and he indicated that in most parts of the community, manufactured housing would be allowed. So certainly, this is a viable path forward if you want to bolster housing, and that's why the Commonwealth wants to see manufactured housing as part of the comp plan now. Again, summary of housing. And community facilities and services, another info or another graphic that will be changing, another map that will be changing, but you get the idea here. This whole section with water and sewer, we're going to be amping up this information. Right now, you can consider those to be, and I'm not saying the data that's there isn't decent or the narratives that are there aren't decent, but we really want to get a little bit more into the weeds on all this. So this is all going to be amped up. Law enforcement, you guys have, in my mind, a very large police contingent for a community this size. That's a good news story because people say, look, I'm moving to rural America to feel safe, and I really feel safe because we've got a lot of people that are taking care of this, that are looking out for us. So that's a good news story here. Again, for most rural communities, medical services are an issue. The retraction of hospitals are an issue, and I know because of the work I did on the telehealth strategy, I know there are different complaints about Carillion maybe, or deficiencies with Carillion, but generally you guys have a solid healthcare system here. Your parks and recreation are fantastic, and what's planned in the future also is really going to embellish that. Your public school system is fine. You have a number of cultural services, and your government is strong, obviously, here. So this section, we're going to amp it up, but it's more of a good news than bad news story, generally speaking. Broadband connectivity, if I were you guys, this would be an area that I would be leaning heavily into. Because for this entire region, there is a real or perceived notion that there is not access to this region. This is off the beaten path, in other words. Broadband is the great leveling tool that enables you to reach it to any nook and cranny of the world, and you guys have a very high concentration of broadband deployment in this community. I'll show you, here are some of your providers, and we lay out who they are, and then we get into the build out and how that happened. I actually have a better infographic that I'm going to be dropping in here that I came up with today. But then we talk about the availability versus adoption. And the only negative here for all of you is that you've got more availability than adoption. And I mentioned yesterday, there used to be federal programs that would help like seniors with broadband payments every month. Those programs are gone now. But you still have a very healthy dose of internet in this community. And here again, using infographics, you can see, we look at the number of households, the penetration rate essentially, those that don't have internet, but you can see how are people connected to the web, and then based on income, we're looking at where that is. And you can see, and you do have a high number of folks that are below the poverty level. They're the ones that arguably could use broadband the most, maybe for part-time employment or whatever, and they're the ones that have the least access to it. So this is another one of those issues that we need to take a look at here. Community preservation development, again, you guys have done a wonderful job here. A lot of these maps are going to be updated. Your Main Street program is strong. I know it's going through some transitions right now in terms of leadership, but you've got a strong Main Street program, you've got a strong Main Street. Your downtown revitalization strategy, your north strategy is also solid in what we're seeing going on there. So this is a rehash of kind of where you guys are. Obviously, you've got a number of heritage, tourism, and recreational assets here. I mean, from the time I was here last year to now, I can see growth in that area, and that's a good thing for a community this size. There's a lot of momentum with that. Again, this is going to be blown out. We have a better depiction of this, but that's kind of a holding a pattern for this. Then we get into the trails and greenways and gateways, and again, we do an inventory of what all those things look like right now in the system. And again, most of these maps you will see in the final iteration will be updated. We'll be amping the maps up, but that we go through this. And then I know we're scrolling here, but I want to get to some of the other stuff. SWOT analysis is an area that I think is really critical. The last plan did not have SWOT analysis. I feel like SWOT analysis is really the grounding factor in any comp plan and any strategy plan. Any plan that we're doing needs to be looking at strengths and weaknesses, which are internal, and opportunities and threats, which are external. And we've gone to great lengths here to put together kind of a checkbox view of SWOT for all of you. And then we get into this report card. Right after SWOT, we say, look, this is what the 2021 plan proposed. What did we implement? What did we jettison? And what's still in process? So you guys literally have a report card here that shows you how well the implementation of the last plan was conducted. Now, in fairness, these numbers shouldn't be, some of these numbers, the shelved items, probably shouldn't be this high. The problem with the last plan is it was aspirational to a fault. There were way too many items in there for a community to realistically try to achieve. That's one of the reasons I want to pare down the new iteration and just give you guys bite-sized chunks on what you can reasonably tackle here. But you do have this report card, and then we go through and literally give you grids that show you what's been done, what hasn't been done, etc. So you see this report card as a synopsis, and then you see it in more detailed format. And that's what this section is. And then this is the information that you all gave us, the committee gave us with your input. And here we have literally taken your goals and objectives and we have grafted them into the new plan. So the direction that you want to see moving forward is laid out here very, very succinctly in these pages. So we look at what we accomplished in the last plan, what things are still open, what we've decided to jettison, and then we flip the page and say, okay, now forward-facing, what do we want to achieve? And that's what this is. This is an inventory of what the committee gave to Leanne and Susan, and this has been incorporated in the new iteration of the plan. And again, I think you're going to expect to see we'll be doing some infographics here as well to kind of give a synopsis to people who don't want to read everything. And then we also are focusing on your 4 priority initiatives. So, I think, just saying this to all of you, I think you would have been safe with just the preceding section. If somebody says, what's your vision for the future? That preceding section was already fairly ambitious. You adding these initiatives, this is, to me, I mean, if you just focused on this or just focused on the preceding section, you'd be fine. This is really fantastic. I would just say, based on what I'm seeing here, and 2 of these have really been vetted out, the Ag Fab Lab and the mountain biking initiative have been really written about here quite extensively. The other 2 we'll get more into when I get back to Pennsylvania. I'll really amp those up. A couple of these are really transformational. The mountain biking trail, I know it's a longer lead time to get that from start to finish, even in the initial phases of that, but that checks so many boxes. So does the Fab Lab. The Fab Lab checks a number of different boxes for all of you. When we look at the soccer field project, that's another one of those gateways into the community that people look at and say, this either looks like Main Street, it looks like you have your act together, or man, there's an awful lot of asphalt here that looks like somebody used to have a car dealership and other stuff and they just left. That's going to be a significant project for you. I'm not saying, I think from an economic standpoint, certainly it's going to be an attraction option for you guys, but it's more about how you see yourselves and how you want to portray yourselves to the outside world. Same with the sidewalk project. The sidewalk project, I just want to tell you, has anybody in this room, I don't want to get into the weeds, but I want to ask any of you, have any of you been to Dublin, Ohio before? Has anybody here seen? Dublin is a bedroom community of Columbus. And one of the things you'll notice when you go to Dublin is when you go to public parking spaces, there are these little birdhouses that they have situated throughout their public parking spaces that look like birdhouses, but they're really for kids who are getting out of cars, and they're filled with crayons and coloring books and bird identification guides. those are the little things that people remember when they come to your community and they go, wow, they even thought of this. They even are thinking about this. To me, your soccer field project is one of those, wow, they're thinking about all these, not only they have soccer fields, but they have a park for kids to play in on the one side. Those are the kind of little things that stay with people. And you all know, because you've done this in your professional lives, a lot of times the very people who come here for recreation will come back and say, this wouldn't be such a bad place to live or to start a business. So we want those impressions to be positive. That's what these 4 initiatives do for me. Not only are they, in a number of ways, they have a variety of different economic impacts, but they really define this community as a place that's moving forward. So we talk about those initiatives. We spend a whole section talking about those. Again, I'm going to amp these up. Some of these I didn't do a very good job with the first time around. I'm going to be doing a better job when I go back. Then we talk about future land use and transportation. Again, these maps are good. Many of these maps are placeholders, but we will be getting into the weeds on this as well. Zoning, we have updated zoning maps that we're going to be adding. Future land use, zoning and future land use are essentially synonymous. So we'll be looking at those 2 things. The transportation element, I talked to Jordan Dillon. I had lunch with her today, and they're going to help us. The regional organization is going to help us with some of the updated transportation maps before we take this to VDOT. So we've got that covered. And then the framework here, basically just going through and how do all these things work. We've spent all this time talking about the situational analysis of the community, what was done in the past. Some of those things were finished, some of those things are still in process. Then the initiatives that the committee talked about, and then we've got the 4 priority initiatives. And what this does is knits all those things together. This is the implementation framework that says, how do all these things play together? How do they impact each other? That's what we're doing here. So this is really knitting everything together at the very end of the plan. And again, I want to try to break up, even though we're using grids here, I want to try to break this up with infographics. So I'll be adding more of those things so that when the casual reader looks at this, they get a better understanding at a glance of what some of this stuff is. I don't want them to have to go into a deep dive if they don't need to have to do that. And then at the very end of the plan, I just want to mention here, we have a Gantt chart for implementation, and you can see I'm calling short-term 1 to 2 years, mid-term 3 to 5, and long-term 5+. And here you can see we're Gantt charting out, and again, following this idea of stabilizing, building, and then self-actualizing. And we're doing all this within the Gantt chart. And then I'm following this up, just showing you these infographics to give you an idea of what this looks like here. And again, a different way of looking at the data, the overarching information, and the aspirations within the plan. And then finally, here, I put some goals together. I'm sure Leanne and Susan are going to look at this and say, maybe some of this stuff is not real, or we need to change some of these things. And you may look at this stuff, but we need to have some specific targets that we're shooting for. So that is the state of where we are with the plan right now. I've already done, I'm just going to tell you this afternoon, based on feedback I've gotten in the last couple of days, I've already added a bunch of stuff. I just haven't added it here, but I've made a number of improvements. Do any of you have, I know we have people coming in now, do any of you have any questions for me? Anything?
Right.
You just want me to go spend money, right?
No, this is fantastic. No, I'm excited about like the actual goals, because if you don't have somewhere to go, you won't get there. So that's.
These are reach goals, okay? These are not, we're not trying to set the world on fire with the goals. We're trying to give you goals that you can attain. It's going to be a good workout for you, but it's not going to be a heart attack workout for you. Or are you saying, I can't run the whole marathon, I'm just going to quit and walk back to the starting line. I've got to give you goals that you can all say, we can do this, we can get some momentum going here. And the flywheel is already moving again. If I leave you with anything today, it's that there's many more assets in this community than liabilities. We have to play to the strengths, minimize the weaknesses, recognize the rest of the world is not standing still. We have to make sure that we are continually moving this process forward.
I love it. Quality of life attracts talent.
That's it. And talent attracts businesses. And the businesses today, I know they all want to see different things, but ultimately they say, where can we get a reliable workforce?
Yes.
Where can we get smart people to work for us that are dedicated, that are trained, etc.? That's what they want, so.
I just want to say, I appreciate your enthusiasm, I appreciate the passion you put into this project. The data you put in there is great, and everything's going, I'm wondering, can we hire you for a commercial?
No.
Just to hear,
You're
the way you're talking about it.
I literally call balls and strikes. There's some places I go, they're not happy with me. I'm just telling you, you guys have a lot of the right ingredients here. You just have to, it's really, this is again, singles and doubles, that's all you have to do. Get on base, that's all you have to do moving forward. But it's been a pleasure working. Your staff these guys have been fantastic. By the way, they need to be the keepers of the flame. They need to be the Olympic keepers of the flame that go through any changes, and whoever sits in your chairs, they need to be the ones that are holding everybody accountable to whatever we end up with here finally.
You do a good job of it.
Awesome. Thank you all.
Thank you.
I am going to your place tonight, by the way.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
All right, anything else we need to talk about during the work session? All right, we'll adjourn this and reconvene at 7:30. Thank you. All right, we'll call the meeting to order. 7:30. Please rise for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please stay while Pastor Rick leads us in the invocation.
Sure thing. Heavenly Father, Lord, we thank you so much that we can gather tonight, that we have such a big crowd. Thank you that business can be conducted the right way. We thank you for the privilege to participate in the process. As you just bless this meeting time with peaceful conversation, with resolutions reached. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Please be seated. All right. We're going to start the meeting with some special presentation requests. And first we want to recognize a couple of winners of our Once a Bulldog, Always a Bulldog scholarship. We want to recognize Leah Keene and Walter Patterson. Would you come forward? First of all, I want to congratulate you both. And we'll start with you, Leah. If you don't mind, tell a little bit about yourself to everybody.
I graduated last spring, or this spring, and I did cheerleading sideline in the fall along with competition cheerleading, and in the winter time I did indoor track and basketball cheerleading, and then in the spring I did outdoor track as well.
Where are you planning on going to school?
Yes, I'm going to Southwest for a year and then hopefully transferring to Virginia Tech is my plan so far.
I just graduated with Lee as well, class of 26. I played football, baseball, and indoor track, and I'm attending Emory here to study engineering science this year.
You guys have already earned the Once a Bulldog, Always a Bulldog scholarship, but we also want to give you guys a little bit of memorabilia here. We always like to get a picture whenever we hand stuff out, so if you don't mind, look at Susan. Congratulations and good luck to you both. Next on the agenda, we have Tazewell High School Marching Band Booster Support Request. Heather Davis.
Hello. I feel like I was here, like I said I was here. As you all know, our marching band works really hard. or in parades or in the stands. We have competitions. We started band practice this week. We're going to Emory and Henry next week for band camp. Let's hope the weather cooperates. And we work on a very limited budget. We do fundraisers throughout the year, and we always ask the town for a donation. This year we're asking, we need to replace some equipment. We've got some 1980s band instruments, but she's really wanting to replace some marching snares this year. So I'm asking for a donation to go towards that. I'm asking for $500.
How many members are in the band?
We're going to have around 80 again this year.
Okay, open the floor. Anybody have any comments or questions?
What's the program going to be this year?
We are doing like we're doing the Sound of Silence, Phantom of the Opera, and Tusk by Fleetwood Mac. So it's kind of a dark, mysterious theme. The Hear No Evil, See No Evil, Speak No Evil. So that's what the theme's going to be this year.
And your question for how much?
500.
You got how many more secretaries?
I'll make the motion,
500.
500.
I'll second.
Okay, we got a motion for 500 and a second. Is there any discussion?
Yeah, I'll do a little bit more for all they do for us. I hate to say this, but the council needs to know that the marching bands don't have any parades, what have you, they're here. They back us up. And they coming through the street, and I know that the equipment's hot. I know that it's the instruments there, but you're doing a great job. I just like to move that up to 700 because of their work for our town and makes it look great. And I would like to give you a little more than that to 700. And I'd like to make the motion to County Ocean, motion for the 500, what do you?
Well, we already have a motion and a second on the floor, so we have to vote on that. So, any other discussion?
I kind of agree with Dave. I mean, they're here at every event on Main Street, and they're athletes too. To carry all that heavy stuff, and with 80 members, it falls under the 700.
Okay. Again, we have a motion and a second on the floor, so unless we can vote on it as is, or if there's an amendment to it, we'll vote.
I'll make the amendment from 500 to 700.
Okay, we got a amended motion for 700, and then
I'll second.
we got a second. Okay, any discussion on the new motion for $700? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion carried.
Thank you all so much. We really appreciate it.
All right, next we have Tazewell County Historical Society Support Increase Request. Dr. Terry Mullins.
Thank you all for asking me to come and share with you, try to answer some questions, and I'm prepared to do that tonight. If you have questions when I finish trying to share with you what the Historical Society does do, I will be glad to try to answer them. But I would ask for a point of personal privilege if I could make a comment here at the beginning about something else that's unrelated, but it's related to our community. On a personal side note, I want to thank the mayor, Mayor Beasley, for attending our Melungeon Heritage Association's 30th annual gathering that we had this year in Tazewell. He came to welcome the group to Tazewell, and I appreciate you doing that, and they appreciate you coming and doing that as well. The train station employees also provided packets of local information for our out-of-town visitors, and we appreciate that. The locals, like the Historic Crab Orchard Museum, hosted our Welcome to Tazewell and our registration day. Burke's Garden residents welcomed our group to the garden for an afternoon visit and lunch. Your Great Escape hosted our annual banquet, and the Appalachian Wayfarer played host to our meeting and speakers day and presentations. And I believe I heard all kinds of comments about how the members of the MHA appreciated the friendliness and the accommodations of the town while they were here. And I think it speaks highly of Tazewell to let you know that the Melungeon Heritage Association next year has narrowed their meeting place down to 2 places, either Richmond, Virginia, or Charleston, South Carolina. And that, I think, speaks volumes for Tazewell. Now, I will move to what I was asked to do. You all had asked questions about our historical society, and I get to click it. Click it always comes in handy if I can figure out how to use it.
Did we turn it on?
Which one?
On the side, is it turned on?
I feel like I'm back in senior history class.
Thank you. Tazewell County Historical Society, for those of you who are not real sure, is located right on the end of the main street. In fact, this is the view you would have if you're standing on our porch looking down the street. And this is the view that the camera also provides for people who tune into our camera that's on the Historical Society. I think you all had mentioned that and talked a little bit about that. But if I can ever figure out how to make this...
We can do it over here.
Okay. I might just let you on. The Historical Society building, for your information, is the oldest structure that's still standing on Main Street. Other frame structures from the period that the Historical Society was built, which was the mid-1800s, have long since disappeared and been replaced by brick and mortar structures like you see in this picture from the 20s, the other 20s, the 1920s. And you'll notice that the Historical Society is down there at the end in the trees. The building is already there. The building is used by many community groups, including heritage organizations. The DAR and the SAR meet there periodically. Local scout troops meet here. Several class reunion planning committee meetings have been hosted by the Historical Society, and videos have been made in the Historical Society, including several recently by Macy Alford and Jorge Ray and their documentary Silent Fire. The Ammonot Always group did some interviews in our building, and the University of Virginia at Wise had a documentary on integration in Virginia, and they also did some interviews in the building. So it's utilized frequently. The town Christmas decorations, you may or may not be aware, did not have a connection for the last set of lights at the end of the street. So the Historical Society actually installed an outlet on the exterior of the building and allows the town, of course, to connect to the service line for that last set of lights, since they didn't actually have a connection. So I don't think the lights would be quite the same if it was dark at the end of the street. Visitors to the Historical Society come from far and wide to research family and local histories. Volunteers donate unnumbered hours to the Society to help researchers make local connections and climb family trees. Volunteers have even helped local loggers with deed searches in their area. Volunteers travel around the county and help with research and have inventoried cemeteries at volunteers' own expense. A research tool for use at the courthouses is paid for by volunteers, and sometimes people make use of that when they're visiting. The Tazewell County Public Library staff often calls on the Historical Society for assistance as employees at the library do research, as do employees down at the courthouse upon occasion will contact the Historical Society for information that we might be able to try to dig up for them. Volunteers provide researchers and out-of-town visitors with local restaurants and lodging venues, because many of these people who come to town to research also need information about where to eat and where to stay. Volunteers even assisted a small town in Italy not too long ago with information about a Tazewell County hero, Charles Casey, and his brother, Henry, both of whom were killed in Italy when the Italian town a few years ago erected a monument to heroes of their community from the World War era One of those heroes was this Tazewell County, Charles Casey. You may have heard that name, but VFW Post in Richlands is named after him. All of the above has brought many people to Tazewell to spend money and to pay our local taxes now for 39 years. In just the past 3 years, visitors have been recorded from all 50 states. Most recent visitor was from Michigan, and in addition, in the last year, there have been visitors from 7 foreign countries who came to the Historical Society building. Internet access to the Ancestry.com is paid for by our own members and provides access to the genealogy site when visitors are in the building. Members also, out of their own pockets, pay for and provide water and snacks for these visitors. Young people from the community that use the facility not only include scouts, but also students from both Tazewell and Graham High Schools who are members, and of course we will be welcome members from Richlands as well. The Society's sources of income include primarily the sale of publications that are sold there in the building, publications that we have reprinted or originally printed, and also those same publications that we provide at local festivals. The Society's only other source of income basically is donations from members, visitors, and those persons who assist with online research by volunteers. Oftentimes our volunteers will help people and they'll get a check in the mail just as a donation for their help because they do not charge. The Society made major steps forward for years with the $5,000 annual support grant that the town gave, and we also appreciate the more recent smaller grants as well. The Society has ongoing expenses well beyond the hours that are given by volunteers to keep the building open at least 2 days a week, and often more when requested. I know volunteers go in there many times 6 or 7 days a week, depending on requests or when people are in town and want the building open. The expenses of the building include water and sewer fees that are paid to the town. The Society also pays to participate in those various festivals, and we routinely participate in the Wythe County Genealogical Conference in Wytheville, the Main Street Moments Festival here in Tazewell, the Cedar Bluff Festival in Cedar Bluff, and the Burke's Garden Festival over in the garden. You might not be aware, but the first love works that ever came to Tazewell County are the love works that are in front of the Historical Society on Main Street. The love works was breaking out all over the state. Tazewell County didn't have any until this one was installed by the Historical Society. The mural down at the train station that is in memory of beloved Tazewell historian and Clinch Valley news editor and my friend Louise Leslie, which is on the wall there, was placed at the station, and therefore it is owned by you, the town. And it was placed there by the Historical Society thanks to a grant that the Historical Society received from the Ratcliffe Foundation. The Society also pays insurance on the building, which, as you might imagine, is very high because we have a frame structure that is 170 years old. The Society also pays an electric bill for heat and lights. Electricity is also mandated for the 24-hour camera that's pointed down Main Street from our Society building. That camera and the online research options also require that the building have an internet connection. In addition, the camera hookup requires a monthly fee to keep the camera online and working. And the Society, like anybody else, pays for credit card reader fees when we make sales like books at the headquarters or at the festivals. And I added this one just a day or two ago because just this week the heat pumps at the Society went down. The heat pump in the basement was put on hold because it needs to be replaced, and we simply don't have the money to do that right now. The main floor unit is working, but the estimate was $2,600 to replace the ductwork because it had been destroyed apparently by a raccoon invasion in the attic. Volunteer members of the Society, however, have come together, and I think there's about 4 or 5 of them that have determined it'll take about $800 of material, and they're going to volunteer their efforts to do that. So instead of $2,600, that's going to cost the society $800. This organization is a vital part of Tazewell and Tazewell County's outreach to our community, to our region, and even to the Commonwealth and beyond. And we, the members of the Historical Society, really sincerely appreciate the support of the town council. Notice the full moon last December shining through one of those stars on Main Street over the Historical Society. We invite you to visit that building. If you want to come, it's open 2 days a week, every week at least, and that's Wednesday and Thursday evening. If you want to come and that doesn't fit, just let one of us know and we'll be glad to let you in and show you around what's there. There's a lot of research material in that building and we'll be glad to share it with you. And I will close by simply reminding you that a community that ignores its history has no past, but also no future. Questions?
Comments or questions?
I hope that answers some of the questions that you all had. But if you have specific questions, I'll try to answer.
I got 2 questions. And the first one is something that Ms. Susan Greaves and I are pretty passionate about or interested in hearing more about. But based on your history and study of Tazewell, can you give us a brief summary on how Main Street became located at Main Street?
The fist fight?
The fist fight.
Everybody's fascinated by the fist fight.
Yeah.
But had it not been for the fist fight between 2 different families who wanted the county seat to be on their land, Main Street would be a 4-way.
Yeah.
And we would all be out there. But it's interesting that through the years, Main Street and downtown obviously was built on the knoll here, and much of the town moved 4-way. I just think it's fascinating.
My second question, well, thanks for that. My second question was just with it being the Tazewell County Historical Society, do you receive support from other municipalities, Richlands?
We're seeking that support. To date, we've only received support from this entity as far as the government.
So the county doesn't give you anything?
The county has not previously, but we're approaching them.
And you can't put the raccoon on your insurance?
You did what?
Raccoon. Do you have insurance?
We'll investigate it. We do have insurance. It was expensive, but we do have it.
I'm pretty sure qualified.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Tell me, does family members from this area, when they leave Tazewell College, and they have their own families in other states, do they look back on the video camera that you have up there set up?
We have people that look at that video camera all the time from all over the world. Obviously, it's on the World Wide Web. And when it's down, we get contacted. What's wrong? Why is it not on? So yes, there's a lot of people that check out their hometown by that video camera.
Sorry, go ahead.
So you're requesting support from the town of Tazewell in reference to these cameras?
Pardon?
Are you asking for support for the cameras, to update the cameras and
Support for all of
the
this.
electricity? I think when I was talking about the electricity and all that issue.
Yeah, just going back to last meeting's notes, you had made a recommendation that we increase to 5,000. And part of the reason we're meeting tonight is because the itemized expenses that you had sent me total to about $7,120 annually. So in order to flesh it out further, basically just extended the conversation to
I've got here
tonight.
what I added up, talking to the treasurer and others, it comes out to about a little over $9,000 a year is what it takes to run the place. And most of it is taken care of at the present time by donations.
Managed, I know there's cameras out surrounding the Tazewell area. And is that still up, operating to the
Yes.
police department? Yeah. Okay, did anybody can look through that? Or?
No.
Good. How about the, somehow you can run these cameras back to the Historical Society? On that one camera says they can have control, and people that like to see Town of Tazewell, the area and how it's expanded.
So they have their own camera with their own setup where you can view it on the internet. However, air cameras are not public cameras.
They're security.
Yeah.
Not necessarily cameras, that's all I've seen. I'd like to see some way that the town offer put extra cameras up for the Historical Society due to the people that's living here, that's retired here, and their kids are in other states, would like to look back at our town, Lee Sheriff Park, well, how much has changed, and that might give them a little time to, when they retire, they might come back to Town of Tazewell to live. But I'd like to see them give this area four-way, no passing, town passes. If there's somebody we can, what the cost would be to put these cameras up.
Oh, I think that's why we have a Facebook, I think.
Well, there's a lot of people don't use the Facebook.
Sure, there's not, but if you're gonna get on the internet, just look at a camera, you're probably gonna look at Facebook or Instagram.
So, Darby Williams, talk to you about that. To solve the issue that we're talking about, said that you guys primarily feel this, but that our donation, we're working towards other donations, outside donations from folks who have visited, what have you. Do you have an idea of what your budget shortfall will be this year?
I looked at the bank account before I came today. There's $158 in the bank.
Okay.
So we're running close.
Real close, like,
Real.
not gonna pay your water bill next month.
Real close.
We are in the new fiscal year, we do have $2,000 allocated currently. Do you know what you received in donations last year?
2,000.
Not from the town.
Total donations.
Oh, total donations? I have here all the expenses from last year. I do not have all the donations. These expenses, including electricity, spectrum, camera, Town of Tazewell, insurance, email, printer fee, just things like that, came out a little over 9,000, and the donations and the book sales is what covered, including your all's 2,000. And certainly I would agree that the county of Tazewell certainly should be pitching in, and I hope they will, but you can't make that happen, and I can't make that happen. We can ask like we're doing with you.
I don't think we should fund it, but could we forgive the water and sewer?
No,
No,
we have to charge.
charge them $1.
It's based on consumption.
If they're only there 2 days a week, what are they consuming?
I don't know that right now.
Not much.
Which for your own business here, attraction? All right, I'll throw this out as a motion, and then we can chew on it in discussion. Recommend amending our budget to go from $2,000 to $6,000, pending that you make you make a request from both Richlands, Louisville, Virginia, and the county for additional
That is
support.
in progress, as I understand.
Cedar Bluff. Yes. Can't leave that.
That's right. All right, I've got a motion.
I'll second. How about,
I've got a second.
We can hold off a minute.
Well, we have to have a second, then we can have discussion. So that, now we're in discussion, the floor is yours.
We'll just get it to 7,000 and see what they can bring up. Give them the 7,000, I'll just get you everything, historical society work. Go with 7 instead of 6. Go with 7, that'd be good. It'd be a good ride, and see what you get from it.
So this is so the other municipalities can kick in, then we're gonna, my concern is like if we go ahead and cover it, then it kind of gets everybody else off the hook. So if we're going, hey, county and our
Cover the bulk of it.
brother, sister towns, let's let's give them some room to be able to help too. I feel good.
And we are the Tazewell County Historical Society, but we are located in the town of Tazewell. And we provide a service that's primarily for the town.
How about if they don't donate, you rename it to Town of Tazewell Historical Society?
Have you talked to Supervisor Rudy, John Rudy? Have you spoken with John Rudy?
Has anybody spoken with John Rudy yet?
Yes,
Yes.
we presented a letter to him right there. Well, we're waiting on the response.
I thought there was some letters out waiting on responses.
All right. Any more discussion?
If we added something, a letter of support, resolution of support, do you think that would cause any? It doesn't cost us anything to add, a little bit of staff time, but, highlight, see the importance. We'd love to see county collaborate together collectively. Right.
Yeah, and I think that the $6,000 donation is a big piece of that, but you could use a letter of support in grant funding requests or anything like that. So, yeah, we could do that as well.
Okay, 6,000.
Yes.
All right, so we got the motion and the second. No more discussion. All those in favor of donating $6,000 to the Tazewell County Historical Society, say aye.
Or, if I can interrupt this thing, are there any other conditions to that? It sounded like you had some other.
On the basis that they request from the county and the towns within the county.
Right.
What kind of proof would we have to provide other than?
Just take a selfie with them.
Copy of your letter.
Or the minutes of the meetings.
I have a question, sorry. So if we write a letter of support, is this saying that the town of Tazewell will support the Tazewell County Historical Society? And we are giving this to them so they can take it to the other localities? Is that the letter of support?
Well, I guess we have to put the stipulation in, right, that this is.
I think you could draft it a few different ways.
Yeah.
Hey, we're doing this, we support our local history. How about you?
How about you? It's cool, man. Be
right.
cool like us.
So then why would we hand them the 6,000 today?
Well, they're still gonna have a $3,000 operating.
If John Rudy does what he should do, they wouldn't.
So I've talked to John about his ability, what he has in his coffers is short. I don't know where that fits on his priority list. But my understanding is at the county level, they break it up by supervisor. So, like I said, made the motion as one of the work group. So if you think it should be less than that, by all means, feel free. Right now, we've got a motion and a second. Terms and conditions apply to the requests, and we can take a vote on it. If it fails, and we could move it down.
All right. Any more discussion? Any amendments, any changes to the motion? Okay. All those in favor of donating $6,000 to the Tazewell County Historical Society on the basis that they request a donation from the county and the municipalities within the county, and the motion didn't specifically have the letter of support, but we'll do that in excess of this. So all those in favor of that, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay.
No.
Okay, so 5-1 vote, the motion passes based on those criteria. Thank you.
We'll let you know how they come forward or not.
And with that, we'll also, I guess, I'll open the floor back up if we want to have another motion to write a letter of support with a vote behind that way. We can do that. Okay, we got a motion to write a letter of support to the Tazewell County Historical Society in their pursuit for funding.
Second.
And a second, any discussion with that?
So Ms. Leanne was asking for clarification in regards to who the letter is addressed to. I do think that you would have discretion to, how you want to draft it as town manager. Right? And in my opinion, it should be addressed to the Tazewell Historical Society and be a tool that they can leverage when they're going to other municipalities. Is that good enough, guy?
Yes, my fault, general letter of support for funding. Right. All right, any other discussion? All right, all those in favor of writing a letter of support for funding to the Tazewell County Historical Society, say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion carries. All right, moving on. We have the 2027 Route 16 Rally and Music Festival event vote and support request. Donna Roberts and Chris Meyer.
There was an email sent, I hit, yep, you got it. So,
We'll play it after this.
I have no idea.
It's short.
I don't know what I'm
Is it?
That's, we had a survey done, and this is the analytics that came from that survey that you guys have in your hands.
This is from vendors, the participants, the town,
Some of the
folks,
businesses.
everybody who's involved, and we put it all together. This is like
An output
of what they thought our strengths, weaknesses.
no influence on our behalf. It was just actually what came out of the survey.
So, Mr. Mayor, council members, thank you all for your support of the Route 16 Rally and Music Festival. Well, we are here today to talk about what your investment did for the festival, what was learned, and our vision for next year. And we want to emphasize that this is not just another festival. It's going to be a Tazewell tourism asset, and we want to help establish Tazewell as a destination, not a place of a day trip. So that's what we are here to do.
Okay, I think it's the next slide. Okay, so the vision. So there was the 2025 motorcycle rally, right, with OTR. And then we turned it into 2026 in 7 weeks. I was like, I'm so grateful that Beth and Back of the Dragon was willing to combine music efforts along with the rally. And it became, and also more than just motorcycles, but motorsports, and the music festival. And then our goal for 2027 is for it to be more town-wide. And then ultimately, long-term, we hope that people want to come from Thursday to Monday and stay for the whole weekend because there's so much cool stuff to do. So that's kind of what we're seeing as a vision.
And this is why the vision matters, because if we can grow this into a destination, we get more visitors, and more visitors go to the restaurants. all the restaurants. They shop, they buy gas, and spend the night, Airbnbs, hotels, whatever the case may be. And as a result of that, we'll have more tax revenue for the town, and it comes back into building community. And that's what we really want, is more of a community effort. And so what we did in 7 weeks, this is crazy. We established a fully functioning nonprofit. We created a brand new brand. We launched a brand new website. We got sponsors for the festival. We booked the entertainment. We did a highly unreasonable marketing campaign, getting everything out there. I mean, we pushed so very hard. We got volunteers together with the town's help. We had the road closed and all the logistics that go along with that, and the things that we had to do to comply with the rules, I'll say. And we delivered this festival. And
multi-stages.
yeah, we had multi-stages, we had restaurants making food, we had food trucks doing their thing, we had stunt shows, we had all kinds of crazy stuff. And why it matters is because we brought people here. People stayed overnight, we had restaurant traffic, people spent money, we made money for the town, and I'm happy about it. I don't know about anybody else, but I thought the festival was
Worn out.
I worked hard for 4 days at the festival, and then I slept for 4 days. So, it was really good. But this is, I mean, we had 7 weeks. And it wasn't because I worked harder than or Donna worked hard. Beth worked her face off. The town people, the town employees, they worked their faces off. Everybody worked together. It was like a well-oiled machine that just worked, and I really appreciate that. There you go.
Okay, so what we believe is that obviously this foundation already existed. Back of the Dragon kind of started it. The town now has anchors. You have the Back of the Dragon Tourist Welcome Center, restaurant, and you have a music venue in your town now that brings national acts. And then you also have the historic downtown, scenic roads, restaurants, retail. One of the thoughts that we really wanted to emphasize is that as visitation grows, maybe it's an opportunity for Tazewell to move from 9 to 5 retail and more into destination hours, because by the time, like on Sundays or Friday at 5, everything's closed down, and a lot of the visitors that the Back of the Dragon currently brings, or even people we bring for the music venue, there's not shopping or anything for them to do because the stores are closed. So that's a thought that would be really cool if the community could start thinking about how we could get destination hours happening. So we don't really need new assets. It's connecting what we already have. We already have a fabulous town.
And again, what you all made possible, because of your investment, 8,000 people came. That's not our data, that's data provided by the town.
Leanne's
Yeah, that's Leanne's data. So,
Traffic counters, and there was traffic counters that said we had over 8,000 people.
So 8,000 people. Beth had said that on the Back of the Dragon, the picture thing that they had said took like 6,000 pictures or something along those lines. So there's a lot of people there. Again, 7 weeks. We had regional television coverage from WVDA, and I think people in Roanoke came down. I think some folks from the Bristol area came, so we had that. The big thing for me, I was really excited, we had 0 safety incidents. That's great. That means everybody did their job and people behaved like adults, which is good. We have the community partnerships we've established. I think we've established great partnerships and great friendships out of that. Multiple days of entertainment. And we also had, part of that funding went to billboards in other cities. People might not have known that there was something going on in Tazewell, let alone know where Tazewell is. So I thought that was great that we could get those out there, and we had some great relationships with the billboard people, and they did a lot of things for us, and we really need to send a
And
letter
it was
of
also
thank you.
on the radio.
And it was on radio as well, so your investment made a lot of these great things happen, and we really do appreciate that. Now, the biggest challenge that we had was not getting people here. I mean, we have that, we have our strong partnerships, we have great event, great entertainment, we have a safe event. But what we learned from this was we need better wayfinding, maybe a better signage, is telling where people to go and things like that. And I think that if we do this, when we do this next year, if we connect the footprint for the whole Main Street, I think that would be a lot better, get everybody involved, because we struggled getting people up into Main Street. I mean, once you pass the Cole Building, it was kind of a ghost town. And we want to get everybody involved. I'd love to have all the restaurants involved. I'd love to have all the retail people open and just killing it as far as money goes. That's, so we're looking to activate the whole Main Street, make sure that it's very clear when visitors come that they know where to go and how to get there. We understand the parking situation, and we want to expand our music experiences. There's people that came to this town that came to see Cruz Contreras, and they were fan people. I mean, it's like, oh, Cruz. Yeah, I mean, they were fan people, and that's the kind of people we want. We want the people to come and have this experience. And Cruz was great, and he sat down and talked with them, and they were like, oh my gosh, he's normal, he's real, So we want more of that. We want to have the crowd at when the 12th Code was going on was crazy. I mean, of course they're always crazy, but they do their thing. So that was great. That's what we want to do. We want to make sure that all the experiences across the whole spectrum is expanded. That's where we really want to go. Yeah. So.
Yes. Let's see if there's anything else I want to say about that. I think one of the things too that caused us maybe to not be able to activate or even think about the whole town is that we only had 7 weeks. So it wasn't anything that wasn't in the back of our minds that we didn't want like the whole town to be involved, but how to get everybody involved and on the same page in that short time. And the footprint that was already requested was, I think, from West Street down. So we stuck with the original request, which was from OTR. So that's kind of where that is. So I don't want anybody on Main Street to think that we're trying to leave anyone out, because we really want the community to pull together. Okay, so here's our 2027 goals.
Okay, anyway, we want to build on year one. 2026, we had 8,000 visitors. In 2027, we want to get 16,000 visitors. We want to strengthen our regional partnerships. We want to get more people involved from Bluefield all the way down to Southwest Community College, from the whole 460 corridor. Get all these people involved. What that'll happen is we'll have more hotel nights. We want to get involved with Tazewell Hotel and Fincastle and bring them into the mix, so that we can get packages and things like this for them to do there, so they can make money. We want to involve all the restaurants, Happy Go, Roscoe's, Be Noodled, everybody we want. And what we really like to do is run away from the food trucks and see if we can get Jalesco's or Jalesco's or however you say it, get the Mexican folks El Mariachi and Tabasco's to come down, have a tent, sell tacos, or whatever the case. Have anybody come down and be represented on Main Street, even though they don't have a restaurant on Main Street, they're still a part of Tazewell. And have them come down. Hey, I don't know if they can do it, don't know if they want to do it. I want to ask them to. So more restaurant sales and more people downtown, more traffic downtown, meaning that we have more people coming in doing shopping. And, that's whatever that is, whether it be Bohemian Grey or the clothing palette or Between Friends or whatever, the new thrift place, Hoping Future, Hoping something, Hoping Baby, whatever. Get them involved, get everybody involved in downtown and making it, because at the end of the day, Tazewell needs to be a destination. That's what we want. And hopefully we can make that happen. So, and if we can do that, if we can do all of these things, we will have a sustainable long-term event that will go up against Floyd Fest. That will go up against Bristol Rhythm and Roots. I mean, I think that is not an outlandish goal. So, I like it. Is that it?
Members on our side.
You're safe. Thank you. Yes. Oh, this is you.
Okay, so in 2026, you guys approved 10,000. In consideration, possibly for 27-15. What the additional 5,000 would do is earlier regional marketing, better visitor wayfinding, because we need to purchase a lot of signage, parking, expanded entertainment, additional sponsorship development, and a stronger experience for every visitor. So that's kind of what the additional ask is for. And it's just obviously for your consideration. And then the next slide, which is thank you for believing in us and support you.
Route 16 already brings people here, they just need reasons to stay. So, yeah, stay longer, exactly. Going back to the, for the request, indeed we are asking for 15,000 for next year. We need to get that as soon as possible. However, that's all on you. Y'all can have discussions if you want to make that happen. One thing that we did turn in today, or yesterday, we did turn in a request for next year to close the road from the historical society all the way down to the funeral home. I'm guessing because I didn't see the picture.
Yeah, we have that.
Okay, so just wanted to make sure that you had that. Look at the SWOT analysis and check it out if you have any questions. We're typically at the Wayfair, y'all can just stop by and we'll have a chat.
I'll open the floor up now if anybody has any questions.
How many days do you want to close that road?
4.
Just Friday,
Friday and
Saturday.
Like Friday at 2 till Saturday night till 8.
Because the challenge, we did hold the road being closed until 5 o'clock this past year. And the issue is it's hard for vendors to have time to set up. There's just a lot of, stage guys. I mean, they had to do everything so quickly. That was a bit of a challenge. That would be better if it was closed a little earlier.
I think we get 2 or 12, what did you put on the form? I didn't
I think I
It
put.
says Friday at 11 a.m. to Saturday at 11
I
p.m.
did 11. Yeah.
So yeah, if we could get Friday at 11 to and then we'll have to open back up Friday night, right? Okay, and then close it.
If I may speak on the closing of Friday, that would be impossible with the court proceedings going on, unless we could work with the court system. But then you have the citizens that's coming in to the tax office, revenue office. It would almost be impossible for that to happen at 11.
could you consider a staggered closing? By close
And once
down?
again, that's dealing with the county, that's not in our,
Of course.
Right.
with us, but it would be almost impossible to shut the courthouse down. But
You can do stages.
I just want to throw that out there.
Like west side.
Yeah, maybe a staggered closing.
Yeah, west side and then,
And then come up.
Your Honor, I know you're not here to speak, but how do you feel about that?
With advance notice, we can take care of that and not have a court schedule. Now, they still have access to the municipality treasurer, but they will, the back area, they would still have access. So as long as I get enough notice, I can get the other courts and they would have. It's not usually Friday's not a huge court day, other than the general district, but with notice, it can be worked out.
What was our overtime bill?
So the town does a event, kind of tally for each event that we have. The Route 16 Rally and Music Festival was June the 5th and June the 6th. So this is labor, overtime, and equipment. Comes to a total of $18,977.87.
Okay, compared to, like, can you compare to other festivals? Like, are we like, is our footprint higher or comparable?
Give me 1 second. So last year, 2025, we had our Main Street Moments. We had a cruise in on Friday evening. Looks like that was a total of $4,972.06. Main Street Moments on Saturday was the all-day event, $10,172. So roughly $15,000.
One thing, just a little bit of quick math that I can point out, if we had 8,000 people come to town, each person spent $10 on food. The meals tax alone came to $6,400 in just meals tax from $10 per person. And I would like to think most people, if you came, you spend more than $10.
Yeah.
And we don't have that data yet because the mills tax isn't due until the 20th of the month. But I would love to have that for you all. We just don't have that.
Right, and it's hard to isolate that
Yeah.
because of it's monthly charge,
Right.
but just, we do have head count data.
Yes.
And so we can say, I think, using that from the weekend, it's safe to say at least that, right? And that's on meals only, not everything else. So
But the difference is, Main Street Moments is a town event. They're making money.
This is a nonprofit, and that's why we're making sure that this is called Route 16 Rally and Music Fest. And it is not for just, that's why it is open to the whole town, and it is not for Back of the Dragon or for Wayfair. Yes, we heard the people who put it together because it already had a footprint within PR. That's why we did a nonprofit, because we want it to become a community event, and we want the community to become a destination for that event.
where you gonna get taxes from?
Yeah, and then I did have a question on Main Street Moments. Do you know what the footprint for the Main Street Moments was compared? Because if it was $18,000 for overtime, but then, we brought in 8,000 people, what did Main Street Moments bring in compared to their 15?
1 second, I think that I have that.
How many?
This will be in 3 days.
Friday night, all day Saturday. Sunday would not be
A street
a
closure.
street closure, but there will be things
So
happening.
there will be an additional overtime cost.
Not on Sunday.
Not on Sunday, the street's not closed, so what we have our little vendors, they provide, breakfast, and then we do the blessing of bikes and that kind of thing. Thursday, there was an event actually that had, that was part of it, that had no street closure. Yeah, so there's different things, But no street.
Sunday would be zero.
of 2025 had a traffic counter of 5,871.
Okay. But that makes sense to me, that we're 18 and there's 8,000.
Versus 15 versus 5.
Cool. One of the things I hear Dane's point, Mr. Willis's point, regarding the expenses and cost, and one of the things that I prepped, just looking at it comprehensive. So if we zoom out and we take the amount that we're spending on employees for events, and then we take the items that we have for community donations, like we just did with the Historical Society, and look at it comprehensively to the percentages that we're spending in regards to that. Sorry, no. You got me all sorted up. You good? So if we look at where we're spending on community development and events and tourism, as opposed to what we're spending on our mandatory things, paving, fire, EMS, our total community development budget is less than 3%. It came out to a total of, and it's not trivial to folks, thinking about your home expenses, but over $250,000 pumped into community development. And when we look at the items that we're trying to pursue, we spent time earlier discussing the comprehensive plan and the items that we're wanting to hit in the near future, and we're going to continue that discussion with Karen in a little bit. But in terms of economic development, we don't have a grand strategy that we're pursuing to bring in industry to the area. Local government's simply not equipped to do so. And as I've demonstrated when we were having discussions in last fiscal year, and as we've discussed times before that, we do know that in terms of our total budget, the areas where we're seeing improvement, and we're actually gaining traction, has been through tourism, through meals taxes and trans-occupancy taxes. And I'm a firm believer that you identify your strengths and you play to those, because it's a lot easier to play to your strengths than it is to correct your deficiencies. And this is an angle in which we can do that. I love the concept that you're going to exclude food trucks next year, and that you're wanting to expand. Well, if we could have a system in place that champions our local businesses as opposed to folks who are traveling from here. And on the administrative side, we know that we have challenges with collecting those taxes from those food vendors. I think that that's a very important part. So I've talked long about it, but really overarching, I think that's the main point for looking at why we would pursue events like this, is put it in comparison to your total expenditures across your budget. And do we have those within the right margins? And my argument is, if we have 3% of our total budget going towards economic development, tourism, helping scouts go to summer camp, we put those together in a bucket. And I don't think we're out of bounds for an event like this that draws in 8,000 visitors plus.
And considering our goal of 16 for next year, we have a whole year's of planning. And we have a lot of really great ideas that's definitely going to pull in from not just like nationwide, really, is what our goal is.
I do have one question for you that I think is a challenge. I only know a little bit about the details regarding that, but looking at something like Rhythm and Roots, ticket cost $130 there. This is a free event that goes on for locals so that they're able to. Do you have a system in place or a plan for introducing this as a ticketed event?
So we've tossed that idea back and forth as a nonprofit, and so some of the things that we know will work are VIP experiences that can go towards the nonprofit. Also doing maybe some possible raffles. We've kind of talked about, Bristol Rhythm and Roots, that's one of the things they do. And I've met with them, and I plan on going back to meet with them again about their festival to see how we can enhance ours. And also I'm getting them kind of involved with Wayfair. So I think, learning a little bit from Bristol Rhythm and Roots and what they do will help us enhance this.
And we are considering doing ticket sales.
Yeah.
There was issue that we decided not to this year, but it's always on the table. And I think that, to me, I think that's the way to go.
Especially as the band experience has increased and the stunt shows. The hard part, the way Tazewell is laid out, how do you control that? What kind of staff can control those tickets? You know, those are some of the questions that we've been trying to figure out, like how you really enforce the ticket thing here. Bristol Rhythm and Roots, they have people at every, block watching everything, and they're shut down for a week. I mean, not the whole town, pretty much just shuts down. And it is a ticketed thing, they have an app, and you have to show that you have your pass with a wristband. So, I mean, it's something that we're definitely trying to figure out how to do here. Just not sure how.
So not unachievable, they're doing it at that location?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe there's a volunteer issue, you guys cited that.
Yeah.
Volunteer burnout was a real.
Yeah, that's it is people, finding the people who can do that or want to.
So in Bristol, the community is excited about Bristol Rhythm and Roots. The volunteer level is insane. Like everybody wants to be a part of it. So.
All right, well, I want to open the floor first. We have the event application is in our packet. I want to open the floor first for a motion to accept the event application. Remind you that it does say from 11 a.m. Friday, which we already heard a little discussion on that.
Which makes sense to me.
Right.
Totally.
Mayor, before we go on and vote or do anything like that, I just want to say that I am not going to be part of the vote. As you guys know, I am employed by the Back to Dragon, although there are at least two other businesses, the Wayfair Appalachia and Uncharted Adventures, involved in this nonprofit that we are also involved in. So I can speak to facts and I can speak about it, but I am going to withdraw myself from the vote, and that would be appropriate.
And I would also like to say there are people that are on the nonprofit that are not part of the businesses.
Yeah.
So you have people that are outside of the businesses that are on the nonprofit as well.
All right, so the floor's open to entertain motions.
I'll make a motion to accept the event.
I'm just going to explain.
I'll second.
So, got a motion and a second. I'll open the floor for discussion. Councilmember Fox, you got a question?
I just got a question in reference to, did y'all have the football team down there at Wayfair to eat?
I mean, do you mean during the events?
Yes.
They came down, yeah, they did come down.
Was there any problems? I'm just saying, somebody's approached me about that on the street.
Not to my knowledge. I never heard any issue at
What
all.
was the problem?
Huh?
What was the problem?
The football team was down there, I guess, eating, and some of the bikers in there. Like teasing them and stuff.
I didn't hear anything like that at all. I mean, it's Walker in here.
I think they're just handing out, they had like a helmet.
Yeah, they must get donations during the event.
Yeah.
Yeah, they walk around Back to Dragon.
Yeah, I don't know if there'll be any issue.
I hope you guys raise a lot of money.
Any other discussion? Okay, we have
So is this going to be with amended hours on Friday?
I mean, it sounded like we could accommodate these hours if need be.
With a lot of
With the notice, and we got 11 months notice. So I assume your motion was to take it as is?
Yes.
Okay. Any other discussion?
Friday 11 a.m. Do you have a street or is it like the whole street?
They're asking for Main Street, which the judge says is not an issue all the way forward. Yeah.
Okay. Whole street, start 11 a.m. Friday, June 11th, and then all day Saturday, June 12th.
Yes.
All the way past the funeral?
So to the funeral, like it was this year? Or this past? You can.
So I've got a question. I'm not opposed to that pending. We had Miscellaneous, we had discussions years back about having volunteers get VDOT training to be able to close down the road. I would imagine down the Bristol Road and the routes, they do something similar. This would offset the burden that we would have on our town employees. Is there a reason why we haven't pursued it in the past? I'm asking for a little bit of historical. Just, do you have any situational awareness on the implementation of that?
I do, a little bit. So I think that Tazewell today had volunteers to say they would work events, and we were to give the VDOT training to them, and we did. And I think that it just kind of fizzled out, and it was never really followed through with events for volunteers.
So it is still possible? And
It
we
is.
could-
And I think that's something we should strongly consider, because you get the busy season during the summer, right? Fair, mainstream moments, you've got this event. But that's the only comment.
Okay.
Sorry, can you make sure they don't block the fire station?
Yes.
We will make sure that we have the
Yeah.
access
Yeah.
point for you guys.
So we're gonna go up Main Street
Yes,
again?
we will make sure.
Yes. And as always, with the application, we've got 12 months. I assume we can make some course corrections if we run into issues such as issues with courthouse, issues with logistics, or anything that might be. All right. With that being said, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Nay. All right. Like you said, aye and nay. I'm going back to nay. Okay, just to clarify, your vote is nay? Nay. Okay, that is a 3-2 vote, and that passes, right? Or is, we have the sixth member that abstained, so is that a tie vote? What's the official?
What, 3-2? 4 votes.
Okay. So is that a tie vote that I vote?
No. Right, I vote it's 3-2, right here, correct?
So quorum is 4.
So motion. Quorum's 4, and you've got to have passes. And it's not administrative.
So what's the rule here?
It's not administrative, it's 3-2, you have a majority, simple majority, but you might have 4 votes.
So this does not pass? And I don't vote because it's not a tie? Okay. So at this time, this motion does not pass, and we do not approve this event application.
So, that's 5 votes, not 4 votes.
No, it's 3 to 2, majority of
3 to 2.
majority of quorum. So, with that, we can accept another event application for the same event, moving forward, am I right?
Yes.
So we can do this again?
What would be the point if you have 2 members who are not interested in having this event?
It's not that I'm not interested in having it, but 11 o'clock on Friday.
So change the document to say 5.
That's why I asked for the amendment.
Okay.
11 o'clock on Friday is too much, especially around the first of the month.
What amendment do you want? What time do you want?
Again, we need to sit down and talk. We can make this work.
Okay.
It's a great thing, don't get me wrong. But I think 11 o'clock on Friday, first of the month is too much.
Well, that motion did not pass.
It's the second weekend in June, not the first weekend in
So
June.
you changed the date?
Yeah, because it was, it's on the application. Normally, the OTR event was the second weekend in June, but this year they changed it to the first, so we kept their footprint, but we're going back to the second week in June.
I'm not against your event. I'm not.
Well, that motion did not pass. The opportunity is there. If you want to make a difference.
Can we do an amendment and say,
I can't make it, no, we need to sit down and talk about it. We need to have a meeting.
So would you all like to have a work session?
Sure.
Okay, would you like to do it the same evening as your council meeting or a different evening this month?
Yes.
Okay, next month, if you are agreeable, we will have them come, would you like 6:30, 7 o'clock?
6:30 is good.
6:30 work session, August, one second, August the 11th.
Okay, that's good. I will say that we already kind of wanted to start getting some things in motion. That does delay us again, like, every time we do this. We were hoping to have almost a full year to be able to put this together because we are doing raffles and things like that take a lot of legwork and advertising. So I don't know if we can do it earlier, but if we have to wait till August 8th, I just don't know whether we should be doing anything or not.
I believe that with an adjustment to the thing, we would have the votes that we need to do, I think. So let me on that one.
I'm sorry.
That's fine.
But there were two items being passed before you get to the donation request. And that's the approval of the event, then the approval of the street closure, correct?
It's 59, yeah.
Okay. So the next
It is in
work session.
Well, we
But it doesn't work better if we kind of hand it over to you all.
Yeah.
But I don't know, vacation this. Well, we're not too far out from, but would you entertain a work session prior to that, or you need more leeway on sunshine laws to announce a work session? Basically, I'm saying we don't have to always just meet on council night. We can handle business sooner if that's advantageous.
Works.
But this I know it's summer and folks have vacations and.
I'm available.
I'm available.
Anybody else available? Me earlier?
I'm good. Whenever y'all want to do it.
Let's,
We'll send out a Google
I was about to say, let's get it.
and give you all some options if that's okay.
Yeah, we're flexible, we're doing it.
Right.
So we're good.
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Appreciate y'all.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
All right, next on the agenda, Iron Thrones Industrial Revitalization Fund Grant Application Request. Iron Thrones.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
There is another vote on there. Are we tabling that vote?
Good evening, distinguished mayor, honorable council members, staff. Thanks for the opportunity to present. I am presenting for Iron Thrones this evening, who is a already in place motorcycle repair company operating in the county, wishing to move to the town. And in doing so, they purchased a building here in town, which is the Blight Building. And they're looking to get a industrial revitalization fund loan. And I think you all may have been privileged to some of this prior. They're looking for a $750,000 loan. They have matching assets already in place. And the building that is to be discussed used to be the Aero Upholstery building down across from the tax office, which is a blighted building. Has, per VDOT calculations, in excess of 3,200 travelers coming through there every day. And it's one of the first things you see as you go to Best Back of the Dragon. And as bad as I'm going to miss the upholstery guy, it'd be a good chance to do something that would be advantageous to bring some beauty back into the town. What we're looking for from the town is not funding. We're looking for you to be more of a management group. It's state funded, as you've seen. And it's an existing business. It's not a business that, if you fund us, we're going to try it. It's already here. It's already working. Right now, it's located in behind where your proposed soccer fields are going to go. So it would be, you get them out of your way then, if we move them. So you want to deal with their access then. What is needed from town council, there's actually two things. And it would be adopt a resolution for the town or the Industrial Development Authority to apply for an IRF funds on behalf of the project, documenting the specific dollar amount and matching funds committed by the developer. Once it's authorized, if it is authorized by you, our team will prepare and submit the full application package, coordinate with DHCD, and manage the process through award. Once awarded, it would become your money to distribute back to Iron Thrones. And is there a need for this business? I take you back, it would be too early for me to ride a motorcycle, but it was one evening in March, a gentleman walked into the front porch probably 5 years ago, and he was on a motorcycle and needed a flat repaired. So I said, I can help you. So the next morning I help him take his tire off. We go to Kelly Kids and they say, we can't help you. So we ended up going to Kohl's, and they, although it was a BMW, they did get him patched and back on the road, but we don't have that here. I was in Robbinsville, North Carolina about 6 months ago, and they have, I guess it's the tail of the dragon, and there's 6 motorcycle repair shops. So, it's needed.
I can do you one better, I had a guy yesterday, so.
Yeah.
If I can interject.
And I'm sorry, this is Ken Asbury and Rob Chandler, they are the owners of Iron Thrones.
I'm Ken Asbury, I'm the Vice President of Consolidated Steel. Matter of fact, he's telling that story, we just had a gentleman that was from upstate New York, IT guy the other day, came in the back of the Dragon, I believe, Beth, you gave him a card for us. We had him back on the road within, what, 6 hours? If not less. Yeah, but if I can just say a couple of things. Please. Is it all right? What will this project accomplish for the town of Tazewell? Well, number one, it's easy to see right here. You got the black building right there, and we want to beautify that. I mean, what's the first thing you see when you come into Tazewell? Right there on the corner, that's what you're going to see. We're not going to have vehicles or bikes out in front of that thing all the time. I'm a neat freak anyway. It's going to look just like that right there. I've already had it quoted. It should be in your packages. The quotes were quite a bit more than we're asking for, so we're not asking for everything. We're just asking for a little bit of help. Rob and I we grew up in Tazewell County. I grew up here. I was a youth pastor here one time. Matter of fact, Mr. King here was one of my children. We were talking about that earlier. Well, he wasn't a child. We were a teenager at that time. Spent our whole lives here. Our children, raised our children here, did all this. I work for Consolidated Steel. I've got a good friend that's had a motorcycle business. If you want to know about steel or steel production, steel manufacturing, I can go, yeah, I'm your man. But when it comes to this, it's all new to me. But I had a good friend offer me an opportunity. He said, hey, this property's come available. He said, I know this gentleman. I think we can get our hands on it. What do you think about getting into the motorcycle business? Well, like I said, I'm not from outside. I grew up here. I want to give back. I want to invest more. I want to see this community grow for my kids, for my grandkids. And this was a great opportunity. I've been looking for an investment I could get in on the side from Consolidated Steel. Nothing ever really came up. This was the first one that came up. I wanted to jump on it. Now, one way or another, we're going to try to make this work, but we really want to partner with you. We really want you to come in and let me just go down through my list here if you don't mind. I'm going to script, but why is the right project at the right time? Well, you just heard they presented a moment ago. Everything in this area is about the bikes. I know not everybody loves that, but it's what we have. It's the opportunity we have. This is exactly what's needed at the right time. The building needs to be upgraded anyway. Why is our community, or why is our company uniquely positioned to succeed here? Well, number one is location. It's a fantastic location. The need is definitely here. Harley Davidson. You go to Cole Harley up here, they won't work on anything over 10 years old. That's where our niche comes in. ATVs, we can handle those. I got guys all the time. Matter of fact, one of the owners of Consolidated Steel, a good friend of mine, keeping at me, has a lot of ATV vehicles and everything he uses, and he needs somebody to service all that for him because everybody's so tied up for so long. That's services we offer. We service ATVs, we service motorcycles. We also service vehicles, but we try to stick with the motorcycles and ATVs. One thing I want to offer the guys here, one thing about, for myself, I hated trying to get out in the winter and get that thing worked on or whatever. So one of the services we're going to offer is, if you're in a circle, a certain radius of the shop, we'll come to your home during the winter, pick your bike up on a covered trailer, bring it to the shop, we'll service it, clean it up, and deliver it back to your house for your charge. Those are some of the things we want to do.
They've also done some traffic studies about traffic flow in and out of the building. And what they're perceiving at this point is traffic only flowing in and out from Route 19 and not from 69. There at the intersection.
Why we were the right partners you guys to partner with. I told you once before, I'm not the motorcycle mechanic, but he is. He knows that. I am pretty good with business.
We have approximately 275 employees now between the two facilities. I've been there for 30 years. We're getting ready to secure a contract with Caterpillar, but we're going to do probably about $200 million a year. We just did a $10 million investment. We're growing. I've been pretty successful. I've been keying on that. You can call Ms. Brenda Justice. She owns it. I work with her every day. She'll tell you the same thing. I'm going to do the same thing with this business right here. I want to do it down here on the corner of Tazewell. We'll see what we can do. We'll see if you guys can help us out.
And like I say, what we're looking for from you tonight is just to adopt a resolution and get the process started. Is there any questions?
What's the due date on the application for the iron?
31st of July, so we're
31st of July.
We're right there right now.
I'll definitely just a few questions, but this is a feasibility study. This one's got marked on it confidential. This is the first time that we've had access to it. So and you guys presented, and fantastic presentation, and I believe you got the right teammates. Do you have a business plan that we can review in addition to the feasibility study, or do we have any additional?
It should have been in the package. We'll get it to you if it's not.
Okay. The only other item that I had in regards to the IRF, and I think we've got another packet that's been issued to us. And I'm not saying no, I said maybe need a little bit more time to consider, but we do have competing projects for the industrial revitalization loan. My understanding is we can only apply for one application at a time.
Right.
And definitely want to make sure that just we got our ducks in a row on that. Anytime we get to champion a business when the movement into town,
Right.
Geez, we don't have that too often, so I think it's a good idea.
And they currently employ 5 people, and you're looking at moving up to 12 with retail sales.
Exactly.
And
it would be a 9 to 5 business. It's motorcycle repair, so we're not out at 9 o'clock at night revving drag lights.
And it's not, we had the shop, but we also want to do the retail store, and then above that, they were talking about earlier, the need for Airbnb as an area. We're going to renovate the top of that building into 2 Airbnb spaces. We have just enough room, and Travis Hackworth did all the quotations for us. He got everything put together, and that'd be no issue at all. We can put both those up there. So it's serving more than just a motorcycle shop.
Yeah. Then, Chris, I want to check to see, I'm seeing it's zone B1 down there, so that no issues on zoning for that requirement.
Only thing popped in my head when it said that Airbnb upstairs and the motorcycle shop downstairs, you would have to have the fire separation.
It would be.
They have that plane.
It's on the.
Yeah, B1 covers all the business.
Yes, sir.
Any other discussion?
We got a motorcycle already here in Tazewell,
And it's an ancillary business.
and for the issue, people need, sound like you're good in what you're doing, and you have everything under control. I'm working on bikes. Y'all just working on motorcycles.
We work on
ATVs, tractors,
Just made a steel, and it's got tires with the
Would you all be opposed to this? Because on the industrial revitalization loans, we do have a significant administrative burden to it, and everything you've said sounds great. Would you give us a chance to review the documents and we can ratify this vote before the 31st so that they can submit their application if that's the route we decide to go?
Absolutely.
But I thought it had to be turned in by the.
It has to be after that time to prepare the packet to be turned in.
Yeah. What would be your deadline to get that back?
About 5 days.
We need about 5 days. So we'll say that, let's say that.
I make a motion of support of the project.
You're going to make a motion.
I'll second.
I've got a second. Any discussion with that?
So this is the same type of loan that we gave with the agent, right?
Yes.
But this is
Right.
I'm sorry, I missed
I
that.
said, this is an existing business.
Yes, sir.
But the loan type is the same.
It is.
Right. He has 30 years of business experience. He's a worker. You're gonna take a building that is blighted, and that is one of the first things you see is the main artery in the town. If they're gonna put up half the money, the least we could do is support it.
Well, I don't disagree with you, Mr. Willis, but again, it's not about being an obstacle in the way of getting, this moving forward. What I'm literally saying is, it's the 14th of July. This is the first time that we've seen this information, and I think we'd be remiss if we just didn't at least evaluate the information prior to committing the town to a responsibility. And I'm not opposed to it. I mean, we got a business that's wanting to move from outside of town to move inside of town. Fantastic. And that's all I'm respectfully requesting. All I need is a business day with it. I can make a decision that I'll carve out time to study this because you guys have prepared for that. But that's my request.
The other side of it, we're the keepers of the money. Are we not?
So the way that the industrial revitalization, it's a pass-through.
Okay, if I might, kind of get some experience through our other IRF model that we have. So they have said that they will be putting a one-on-one match with the funds. What we have to do is they have to expense funds. So let's say they are approved, everything goes through. So August 1, they expense $100,000. They will turn in those receipts to us. Susan will fix a disbursement packet to go to DHCD, and they will review and approve, and then send us the funds that go back to them, and we issue the funds back to them.
Which I would assume would be 50,000 at that point, because if it's a one-to-one match, they can get half of what they turn in, right?
Yeah. But DHCD does have to see that they have skin in the game, and that is how our processes work with other projects.
So basically, DHCD has pushed it down to local level governments to be the stewards of assessing what should move forward and what should not. And I'm not, I just want it to be clear. I'm not saying absolutely not. I'm just saying it's, I really wish it would have been to meet you all last month. We met you just briefly, but I'm just saying it's the first time that we've been presented with this, and we haven't evaluated anything other than the presentation, which was fantastic.
Any other discussion?
And as I spoke with you earlier, you were a manager of mine. I have much respect for you. You were my youth leader, always looked up to you. My only reserve is we have one out right now. We don't know if they're going to have to ask for an extension or what's going on. So right now, I kind of want to hone in on that one and make sure we're doing what we're supposed to with that one before we expand. That's my only reserve at this time.
Would we be on the hook for anything with the other one?
So the question has been asked previously, what would happen if we enter into an IRF loan and the business did not repay? So during the part of this IRF process, there is a deed of trust to the property that will be held by the town of Tazewell until they satisfy their loan payments back to the town of Tazewell. So that deed of trust is kind of their collateral.
Which is negotiated over a 20-year period.
It also affects your loan credibility to see the funds. You want to make sure you do well with what you have and go through the administrative process properly and have a good project. Because if it doesn't, if they back out, if they fail, if anything that goes awry, it does not help the town with any future applications for IRF funds. That's fairly common throughout what I've seen in the county. So.
And is this the deadline for any other new ones at this time?
My understanding is yes, that's their funding round.
For the fiscal year or for the?
Yes.
Okay. So it's not that we have anything else to look at or somebody would be like, no, I got one too. Like, you know, like, well, this is pretty much, so. You know, I mean.
Any more discussion? Because we do have a motion and a second in support of this on the table.
Would you consider amending your motion just 2 business days, that's all I'm asking?
I would.
You're so kind.
So, amending or withdrawing the motion?
If you withdraw that, we could.
Withdraw so that we can do it through email. Okay, so we have a withdrawal of the motion, which means, you withdraw your second. That's necessary, right? There's no motion. There's no motion, so.
Well, look, I'm just asking.
We still need to vote on it?
If he's withdrawing the motion, you should have it.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
The town has everything, right, regarding the information business plan, we got the feasibility study, and respect the confidentiality on that, of course, and I appreciate you being patient.
So expect a email within the next 2 days on the vote on this. All right? Okay. All right. Thank you all, and we will get you your answer in 3 business days.
Thank you. Thank you all.
All right. Next on the agenda, we have a global business recognition. We've got Your Great Escape, Clint Neal, please come forward. We've started the process of recognizing some of the local businesses that we've got to enjoy and have in the community for several years. And Clint, your business has been one of the ones that's been here for quite some time. I've got to enjoy your catering for a long time. The Speed would order it for us at mine, so. But tell us a little bit about your business and just.
Well, I do want to say it's appropriate that July 2026, you all asked me to, or you want to recognize me because 25 years ago this month, when I started Your Great Escape.
Wow.
So. A personal chef business where I go into people's homes and cook for them, and then that expanded into catering, which expanded into the restaurant part. So we've had a very, it doesn't seem like it's been 25 years. People say, how long did you start? Right out of high school? And I'm like, well, almost, but not quite. But it's been a very fruitful venture for me, and I appreciate the town's support. I think I've fed pretty much everybody in this room at least once. Yeah, we look forward to hopefully 25 more. So.
Sounds good. We'll get goodie bag for you. Like I said, I like to get pictures, so. You'll come forward in front of the council here. Shake hands for a long time. Clint's got a secret talent. He's really good at trivia too. Trivia.
That is true.
All right. Next on the agenda, we have approval of the minutes for the council meeting on June 9th and the special call meeting, joint meeting of the town council and IEDA on July 6th. I'll open the floor for discussion or entertain a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
A second.
We got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. What's wrong? Okay. So the motion unanimously carries. Next on the agenda, we have approval of the financial statements and financial report for June 2026. I'll open the floor for discussion or entertain a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Got a motion and a second, any discussion?
Miscellaneous, when was the audit? Has it been done yet for the year?
So audit, we had on June the 30th, we closed our office to the public, and the staff runs all our reports. It was kind of like a snapshot in time. So June the 30th was our day to do that, and we have pre-auditors coming in August, that 17th and 18th, and then the regular auditors will be here in September.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any more discussion? All those in favor of approving the financial report for June 2026, say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Next, we have committee and conference updates. First, we have Planning Commission Committee, Zoning, Building, and Property Maintenance Official Order.
We did not meet in lieu of the joint meeting that the IDA and the council had that night. I did give them some homework for the Senate Bill number 531, which is an accessory dwelling unit, which will be ratified and get a draft for them to vote on at the next planning commission.
Any questions or discussion?
Is that like a tiny house?
It can be.
No.
It will be. It still has to meet setbacks and all that.
It's really not clear. I think it's very clear. No, it's not. It's coming from the General Assembly. Not clear.
It does go into effect July 1, 2027, so we're getting way ahead of the curve.
All right.
We're probably going to see some action from other areas throughout the Commonwealth that will be sort of dealing with that a lot more than we will. So hopefully we'll have some examples to work with going forward to see how effective it is or isn't going forward, and may more definitively deal with the tiny house problem. So we'll see.
Any other discussion or questions? All right, thank you. Moving forward, Tazewell today, Nate Thomas, President of Tazewell today, please come forward. The floor is yours, sir.
You don't want to tell me that. Well, first of all, thank you for letting us speak again tonight. Just an update, I think we've been doing these every month for a while. Tazewell today, as always, is busy in the summer months. For multiple years now, Tazewell Day has coordinated with the town on the annual Fourth Fest, the July 4th party. Happened again this year at Tazewell Middle School, July 3rd. I was not personally present, but multiple members of our board of directors took care of that event. It's my understanding, it's well attended, and the fireworks were let off. You can't ask for any better than that. So I believe that came and went without a hitch. Very pleased that that happened. I will tell you this, that I was not aware that we had to book porta potties for that event, Main Street Moments. And I found out that we needed to. Ms. Regan with the town was so kind to work with me on getting those booked. Well, they called me from the porta potty company 2 days before the event. Hey, we're gonna drop your toilets off at the middle school today. And I said, sounds great. Let me call the middle school and let them know. And the middle school was fine with 2 porta potties sitting there for 2 days. But they were locked. They were locked when they picked them up at the end of the night. But all those things happened. The big event for Tazewell Day this summer in coordination with the town is, of course, Main Street Moments, which is now next weekend. We've talked about it for months and months, and now it's right on top of us. I don't want to take too long. I do want to mention what's going on, if you'll bear with me for a moment. Friday, July 24th, we'll have our family kids night as part of that event. The street will close somewhere between 4:30 and 6, depending on where you are on the street. I always have to take care of the bank. 6 o'clock that evening, there'll be a magician on the Main Street stage, on Altauser stage. There'll be a phone party sponsored by the Tazewell County Public Library and the town. Right after that, there'll be a couple of inflatables set up, a portable putt-putt course, a couple of food trucks. We'll have music. They had to settle for somebody who would work for free to do music that night, so you're stuck with that. That'll be Friday night. Saturday morning, July 25th, is the Main Street Moments, the historic event that we've had for so long. Lots of vendors are signed up. I think I shared with you in June that the Tazewell Farmers Market's going to relocate to Main Street for the day. I've ordered some signage to direct people about that. That in itself is something like 37 vendors. Plus with the other 30 some odd vendors and the food vendors that are signed up, we're looking at over 70 plus vendors on Main Street. And I've been involved in Main Street Moments before. I've always had a town that weekend until this year. And I think it's going to be one of the bigger events of the last several years. We're trying to rebuild it. So lots going on, lots of craft vendors, lots of food vendors, lots of things you can buy and take home. Also, lots of informational booths in the town. Tazewell Today, Carillion Hospital, Rotary, all that stuff will be set up during the day. Inflatables will be set up that day as well, plus performances on the Main Street stage. Starting about 11:30 that morning with the Taekwondo Dojo doing a demonstration. We've got the Jubilaires Gospel Group coming. We've got Justin Baldwin coming to perform. We've got a group that tours regionally based on Mercer County, the Pub Knockers. And we have Mackenzie Phipps closing out the night. In addition, on that Saturday, there will be a cruise-in that will line up at the new Clinch Alley Pavilion. They'll have that cruise-in parade coming this way, rolling into Main Street about 6. They're going to stay through the end of the evening. So that should be an additional draw. Our goal is to pack the street, pack the day, have lots of money spent in our town, and then go home and sleep good. That is my hope. And if you all can make sure the weather's good, that's your responsibility. I can't be responsible for that. So all that's coming up, just as far as Tazewell Today goes. As you know, we are currently operating without an executive director. However, that can't last forever. Through our Main Street designation, we're required to have a paid executive director. That's going to come back in a different form, likely to be part-time, but we won't really worry about that until we get through Main Street Moments. Into August, we're going to sit down and do some restructuring. So we don't know what the future is going to look like. We don't know all the details. We're going to reshape and restructure and sit down and talk to events and what to keep, what to move, what to evolve, what to delete. But we're excited for the future. I do need to mention our Main Street Moments Planning Committee has been exceptional. These folks have met week after week after week after week and have fine-tuned and replaced and have worked and have walked the street. Tonight's not the night, but you'll want to hear those names in a moment. And our Tazewell Day Board of Directors has really stepped up. Not a single one has not done something that's needed to be done over the last couple of months. That is not the Nathan show. That is the folks. They're the good folks. And I want to make sure they are recognized. That's all that I have written down. Are there any questions?
Executive Director, when are you going to find one to take over?
Our plan, when we get to Main Street Moments, we plan to meet, we have an organizational committee that handles the structured organization. That's the officers and committee chairs. We're going to sit down and rework the job description, kind of line out what we can do and what we need and what we can do without, and then advertise, interview, and we hope hire. Of course, I'm sure you know this, I have a running dialogue with Leanne. We talk a lot, so I'll make sure that you're informed as well as a vital sponsor and partner for Tazewell Today. We want to let you know what's going on too. Did that answer any question? Did that help at all?
Not really.
I didn't really give you any information. That's what we're planning. I don't really have any details to give. Yeah, I tell you what I know. It won't take me long. Questions? Any more? Thank you, sir.
Thank you. All right, next on the agenda is Comprehensive Plans Review Subcommittee. Councilmember Long and Councilmember King.
So on this one, really wish, well, and some of you folks did come in during the presentation. So what we've done so far this year, because I think it's good to just spread awareness, the town Tazewell, our council, our planning commission, and our Industrial and Economic Development Authority has formed a subcommittee that has worked to build out a comprehensive plan. So a comprehensive plan is a mandated document that we have that, as Mr. Lane Wardy from Gem City, who's been helping us draft it, stated, it's our North Star. It's where we're looking towards over the next 5 years. At 6:30 this evening, he gave us a presentation showing what he's got put together so far. And we have several initiatives that we're looking towards the next steps where we're going. So I guess backtrack just a second. What the goodness that has occurred by making a subcommittee made of the Planning Commission, Industrial and Economic Development Authority, and our town council is that you have representatives from across the branches of our local government that are collaborating together to cast a vision for the town. We've invited folks to be part of that. This plan is nearing its final stages, and that once the final draft, I think we will receive in probably 2-3 months. Is that conservative enough?
So Latham said that he will try and get something over to us that we can kind of go through, and then once we do, he will take that, he will send it to you all. However, there is the transportation part, and that has to be approved by VDOT, and that might take a little bit of time. However, Latham did think that he would for us to be able to send that approval.
So better managing expectations, say, expected by the end of the year.
Yes.
Yeah,
Great.
that's what we're doing. We're expecting this plan by the end of the year, and we hope it's very useful for everybody. Mr. King, anything to add?
Any questions or discussion? Thank you very much. Moving forward, we have unfinished business, the capital improvements plan, Councilmember Klein.
We got one more, then I'm kind of done talking for a while. But, all right, so in part of this comprehensive plan, one of the items that we discussed, this is our list of want-tos. These are the projects like you've seen, I don't know if you've seen Facebook, but check out the Gateway Park, the renovation of 1616 Riverside Drive into makerspace. We've got a series of projects that we're looking to hit. One of the items, those are our want-tos, and one of the items that I'm trying to balance is the necessity to make sure that we've got our our have-tos in check, right? Our capital improvements. And I'm sorry I threw this together at the last minute just to have a visual representation for the town. There's no need to throw it up on the screen. It's emailed out to the town. The council members and Manager Reed have a copy of it. But what I've done is I've identified, and we had discussion on it last month regarding a capital improvements plan. This is something that a lot of municipalities have, and in our charter, and I kind of laid it out up front for you guys, in our charter, section 4-2, 1-2, we have, in our town, we should have 4 different budget items. We have our general fund, which is a lot of what we've been discussing tonight. How much do you allocate towards the historical society versus community donations? That's where all that comes from. We've got 2 funds that are utilities, these are water and sewer. These are in revenue funds. So we have utility charges that offset running that budget. And my proposal is for us to consider adding a capital budget, is how it's identified in that section. And to give an overarching view on what a capital budget is. So flip it over on the back if you want to follow along. But a capital budget isn't like your general fund budget. What it's looking at are long-term capital improvements that typically have a life use of over 5 years and have an expenditure that this varies by municipality, but I'm going to say for a rough number north of $50,000. The way that our town charter is set up is that our planning commission is supposed to recommend a 5-year capital improvements plan that then comes to council for approval, gets added into the budget, and then what we're doing is we're looking at that annually, and it's refreshed annually. So we have a long-term vision for the capital improvements that we need to see and want to see hit within the town. So items like your Gateway Park fall into this category. Items like your restoration of 1616 Riverside Drive fall into this category. We could explore it further, but long-term projects like your water line projects, additional paving. You know, we connect it to a number, but then you build it out so that your town has a vision. So what we've built so far is we have a comprehensive plan that's casting the vision for what we want to achieve. My recommendation is to utilize the charter and what we already have on paper, so we're not creating anything new, and implement a capital budget that outlines our 4 or 5 year vision for what we want to see on capital improvements. And I think this is how you earmark funds towards it. Historically, in looking at projects, we've earmarked dollars from ARPA, American Rescue Act funds, and we've earmarked money towards projects, but we don't have it deliberately set aside where we can follow and prioritize our capital improvements. So, you know, I manage businesses. Well, not businesses. I work in a business, but I think in thinking about something like this is a system change, right? Anybody who's running operations for businesses knows that you're as good as your systems are, right? This is how we build, well, fail-safes. It's how we build predictability into the planning. And I think that this is the needed item that we need to add to our budget process so that we balance those two competing items. And so I'll leave it there for now. I'm going to have a motion at the end of this, but does that make sense? Have we looked at it? Do you guys have any opinions in terms of adding a capital improvement plan to our budgeting process?
Essentially, we would just be taking a piece of what we manage out of the general fund and specifically outlining it for capital. That way it's isolated, just like water and sewer. It's an isolated thing that we can manage individually.
That's correct. And there's another caveat to it. And this kind of goes in line, using a recent example with like the Historical Society, where at the end of the budget year, I think I've got it highlighted here. Basically, the funds within that capital budget don't expire at the end of the year. They get locked in place for 3 years until that time when the project is deemed to be abandoned. So it's a way to set your set-asides, right? Another example we could look at is we've got a $2 million fire truck to purchase in 2 years, right? And correct me if I'm wrong, but we don't have funds set aside for that, so we are planning to leverage debt in order to take care of our fire truck, right? This is your tool for where we would track all these items. Another example, we just purchased vehicles for our public works department through our ARPA funds, and we're super happy to do that. But I'm expressing my opinion here. It shouldn't be a gotcha when we have vehicles that need to be replaced. We should have a plan in place for that. And I think that this is a system that we can build to build more predictability into our plan. We've got our comprehensive plan, we've got our want-tos. This is how we build a system to take care of our have-tos. So I'm going to make a motion that the town council directs the administration and the planning commission to formalize a 5-year capital improvement program pursuant to the authority of the town charter, specifically sections 4-12, 4-119, and 6-135. And the purposes of this program, capital improvement project shall be defined as any non-recurring expense for a tangible asset with a useful life of at least 5 years and a total project cost exceeding $50,000. This will be updated and presented to council annually in conjunction with our budget process, ensuring that our fiscal planning remains in full compliance with the Virginia Code.
All right. With that, I've got a motion.
Fire truck is $1 million, right? Not 2.
I think it's 2.
Wait, Craig.
Well,
$1 million.
We went with the 1 million. I think there was another one for 2.
We've got 2 that are.
And they said it was just as good as the 1 million.
We've got a motion on the floor for the capital budget, the capital project budget. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we've got a second. I'm going to open the floor for discussion, but I want to start the discussion and asking Manager Regan, Jessica?
She said no.
Gotcha. Your opinion.
Okay, I do have some questions, if that's okay. So your water fund and your sewer fund, those are your enterprise funds. Your general fund is more your tax base. In your general fund, you actually have a capital expense department, if you will. I do have questions on how those funds, if I understand correctly, you want to create a capital improvement fund. So like our general fund is number 1, our water fund is number 2, sewer fund is number 3, IEDA is number 4. This would now become number 5. How do you plan to fund your capital improvement fund? Because I cannot, Jessica cannot do inter-fund transfers. The auditors will not allow that.
I'm going to push back on that a little bit. And this is based on limited research. So and I'll caveat this entire thing. Anytime you implement a new system, there's kinks to work out, right? We've implemented a credit card processing fee. I'm sure there were kinks to work out. I know that we've talked about this before, about the Virginia Resource Authority saying that you can't expend funds across, money across funds.
Yes.
And, you know, I sent you a news article from the city of Bradford who's got budget problems, and they have been able to do that. So perhaps that's one of the work items that we would need to work out to determine how that will occur. Is it moving from the general fund over?
Why would we not just create in the water, in the sewer, in the IEDA? Why would you not just create a department of capital improvement? Have one for general, have one for water, sewer, etc.
Let me ask you this, why would our charter mandate that we have this component and we not implement it?
Why have we not implemented it in the past?
Because we're out of compliance. So either it's willful avoidance. Now we get audited, we talked about that. You know, we're doing fine in terms of that. I think you all have gotten great reviews for it. But essentially the high level approach to this is having your system in place to where you've got a 5-year plan and you have deliberate funds set aside in order to fund those projects.
I'm not in any way against creating a plan. I just think the execution as far as your inner funds need to be kind of strategically looked at. That way we can still do the plan, however you keep it within the funds that it's intended for.
So, do we have any history, did we ever have a fourth, it would have been a fourth fund at the time for capital? Like, when this charter was first implemented, did we have a capital improvement budget fund? I mean, is there a way to find that out?
I can speak of my time for the moment. So I've been here September, like 21 years. We've not had that. We just recently created, sorry, what?
Everything's out here doesn't mean that it's not appropriate, or possible.
Right, and that's not what, please, again, I'm not saying I'm against it. It's just, I think, to fine tune it, to keep it in the appropriate funds is my concern.
Okay.
I can ask about Councilman Klein, which provision of the charter are you referring to? Where it is mandated? That's what we can see, I read.
4-12, 4-18, 4-19.
Okay, under budgets and appropriations.
And then the planning commission section is on 6-135.
While Brad's looking that over, is there any other discussion?
It says a capital.
Could I ask another, maybe condition? If this is approved, would you allow Jessica and I to speak with our auditors to make sure that we do things in the appropriate way?
I think that's highly recommended. I'm not saying no, but what I was thinking about was, you know, I do believe that this is a much needed item that we're, negligence is the wrong word, but we're remiss on, right? Because we don't have long-term planning in place for the requirements of it. Now, in collaborating on the implementation of that system, I'm all for it. You know, we're all one team, one fight, we always like to say. But what I'm not comfortable with settling in is not fulfilling the requirement in 6-135. And we talked about that last month, where, you know, question of the ability of the members that are part of that versus you having your day-to-day operations. But and at that time, my recommendation was the same thing with the budget. We fight over margins, you give us the meat. You know? And I think that that's the same thing. So, would it be helpful if we amended to basically I could rescind it, we could re-attack it a month. Or do you think we cross that phase?
I'm all supportive to create a plan, absolutely. I think that is much needed. I just want to make sure we're going through the correct avenues for funds.
I'll tell you what, let's add it to unfinished business for next month. And then I'll resend the motion. And then that way we can collaborate on the project. Mr. Willis, I appreciate it.
I understand what you're trying to do, guys.
All right. So, moving forward, we'll explore creating a capital budget fund, and then revisit next month. All right, next on the finished business is economic developer coordinator.
I apologize, guys. This goes hand in hand with our outlook for the comprehensive plan, our capital improvements budget, and two summers ago, has it been 2 summers at this point? We had earmarked a position for an economic development coordinator. So in talking about systems and for what we need to execute this comprehensive plan, we had considered adding an economic development coordinator. It's somewhere in the budget to the tune of $47,000 for salary, I believe.
I think it's right about 45.
45. And basically, I want to bring that back up. You know, the concept, Miscellaneous got her hands plumb full managing the day-to-day operations of the town. When we had discussed this previously, we talked about adding an individual to her organizational chart that can assist her with, these projects that we are pursuing. So this is the trifecta. So between the comprehensive plan, the capital improvements plan, and then connecting in an economic development coordinator, I think that you would have the tools in place to be able to facilitate your comprehensive plan. And even with that, when you get into capital improvements, there's grant writing involved with that. I don't know, could you estimate the amount of hours that you do have in grant writing and follow-ups and
Susan and I work hand in hand with those a lot, so it's not just my time, it's hers as well. Yes. So there are times that, and we talked about this, there are times that yes, that is very much needed. And moving forward, if we are going to try to pursue grant funding, pursue our projects, I can see that would be a very necessary hand.
We had traction last year.
We did. So I actually have held interviews and interviewed several candidates, and then we had a shift in direction, and we at that time did not hire the firm that had reached out. So we've just kind of been setting idle with it. However, it is still in the budget, and if I can move forward to advertise for that position again and get someone on staff for that.
So do we need to vote on that to put that back? You have it in the
It's
budget?
in the budget, you all have approved
Okay,
for
I
that.
just, the last time we talked about it, it was as a contract item,
Correct.
not an employee item. I didn't know if we needed. If it's in the budget as is, then we're good.
Do you all have any direction as far as employee versus consultant, which way you want to go? Do I open it up to both?
Like the best
direction I would
candidate.
ask.
Whether it's specific.
Well, I think, so you got two different things. Contracted, you would know exactly what projects, because it's project-based. An employee is invested in the town and any projects. So, if we change our mind on something or whatever, I think it's really hard to do a contractor with kind of how many projects we've got going on and which ones are going to go and this, that, and the other. So we would have to really put pen to paper and be like, we want you to do exactly this by this time. So I think I love the idea of having an employee that grows with us and is a talent, that we don't, could bring all kinds of other things. And not just things that we think of, because, we're pretty smart and everything, but.
And humble too.
And humble, yeah, we're smart and humble, but I think it'd be great to have somebody, who would join us and be doing all that.
One of the items that we've spent time on with the Industrial and Economic Development Authority, and there's been other businesses that have put in, the Entrepreneurial Business Attraction Grant. We've got a very strong volunteer team in our Industrial and Economic Development Authority.
Yes.
But there are things that they're like, man, I'm volunteering, I'm not going to pursue that. You don't like the incentives? I think the incentives need some love. But there are things that our volunteer base can't do with the limited bandwidth that they're going to put towards this. I think that there's immediate work. Because then if you have a full-time employee, write the job scope out to where they can assist with other items. It's adding a person to your organizational chart.
And that's what we did. We kind of made a checklist of what the job description would be and what our expectations would be.
I do think I'm not married to this, but I think I'd be curious about the level of talent that you're going to recruit at that funding amount. We spent a lot of time discussing that during the last round conversations on it. But would it help you if we gave you I know we've got a budget of 45, would it help you if we gave you a band? Right, you've got a fixed price at 45, then that's the upper ceiling. But with most positions, based on different experiences, capabilities, skill sets, is that something you're interested in to help you in the hiring process?
So I do think that we've had some interest in the past, and once they found out the salary, that was a negative kind of aspect for them. One thing that I would like to kind of mention is once the salary goes up, benefits go up as well, and retirement such as would also increase. So that's one thing to be mindful if we do increase salary, there's also other benefits and line items that would increase too. So if you guys would like to increase that, I'm open to hearing that. But I do know that was one of the negative feedback items that I had.
What would be, we could do some research, what would be in line with someone, recruitment, for that position?
And also, one thing was, this was an economic development assistant. We did not have director on that status, and that also makes a difference.
I understand the benefits of the employee. I'm just thinking if someone qualified, capable, the best candidate to do contract work, would that be advantageous on our part?
Well, I think if you had certain projects, you would have to be very, the scope of work is this, and we want this by this time. So if there's money in that budget and we want to be flexible with the budget, and if we don't want to hire somebody right now, and we're just like, hey, for the mountain biking project, we need this for this, you know, and then hire those out pieces. I mean, that would be another option. But again, I guess I'm romanticizing the idea of someone energetic and coming in and being able to do those things plus more, and being, again, invested in the town.
Yeah, and also looking at, you know, we just had the director, El Presidente of Tazewell today say they're considering a part-time position on the Tazewell Day side.
I mean, we haven't taken a full-time position off the table.
Right.
But we're not required to have a full-time director. If we can get everything done with a part-time person, we'd be crazy not to.
Right. I guess the only reason for bringing that up is, well, there's another person to help with phone calls, you know, whatever. We're adding bandwidth to the entire team that collaborates. So, I would be in favor of full-time versus contract.
I would like to ask if everybody's okay with it. Why don't you take a month to revisit it, see exactly what you want to get out of the position, what your preferences would be, if, you know, which level, because I think we did that last year when we first brought it up, but I'd like to see it like, okay, here's where we're at, here's what we got moving forward.
So are we open to different salary ranges? Like if I did salary surveys and brought, is that something that we could discuss?
I would like to see a little more than just say, here's what we had. I'd rather see that, a comparison of what's a feasible amount.
Yeah.
And we can work that out.
I mean, I Googled what an assistant should make with an annual salary, and it's 45 to 60. So, I mean, we're at the low end of that. So if you hire somebody with no experience, you're right where you're supposed to be. So, I mean, I wouldn't mind having a little leeway of 45 to 50. But I do like the flexibility of it being a worker and not a contractor, because you can task something else if needed.
Okay, well, we're good there. I just want to say thanks. Yeah, I know it's a whole lot, but man, I'm really excited about what we have moving forward. I have a comprehensive plan. I have a capital improvement plan considering it. And then if we add the coordinator, then I think you've got the tools that you need to really move forward with the town's vision that's made by your elected leaders. So,
thank you. All right, moving forward, we have new business, and we have the law changes effective July 1st. It says Attorney Pyatt. I'll let you give the background now, then I'll read the statement if you'd like.
You can go right ahead. That's fine.
This is basically the law.
Every year the council has to go through this because each year the General Assembly enacts changes, some subtle, some not so subtle, with regard to the criminal title 18.2 of the Virginia Code, and also the vehicle title for motor vehicles under 46.2. And therefore the council needs to allow for the adoption of those changes for our officers particularly to be able to enforce the changes in the laws effective immediately as of July 1. So that's what this basically.
So with that, I'll read this ordinance and we'll have a vote on it. And then we'll have to take another, I'll entertain a motion to waive the second reading on it and a motion to adopt. So we'll have 3 votes after this.
You'll have it first, so waiver, yes, you have to adopt this. It's in order to enable your officers for the town to be able to start dealing with immediate passages immediately. And so yes, it needs to be a motion, it needs to be a waiver of second reading, and then a motion to adopt as an emergency to take effect immediately.
Okay. All right. With that being said, ordinance number 2026-7-001, Chapter 16, Motor Vehicle and Traffic, Article 1 in general, Section 16-2, Adoption of State Law. Be it ordained by the Council for the Town of Tazewell, Virginia, that Section 16-2, Adoption of State Law of Article 1 of Chapter 16 of the Code of the Town of Tazewell be, and the same hereby is amended as follows. Pursuant to the authority of
46.2-1313 of the Code of Virginia of 1950 as amended, all of the provisions and requirements of the laws of the Commonwealth of Virginia contained in the Code of Virginia, Title 46.2, 46.2-100, etc., or
That's sec, I mean, anything that follows that.
yeah, that. And in the Code of Virginia, Title 18.2, Chapter 7, Article 2, 18.2-266 et sec. Except those provisions which are contained in this chapter and except those provisions and requirements, the violations of which constitute a felony, and except those provisions and requirements which by their very nature can have no application to or within the town are hereby adopted and incorporated in this chapter and made applicable within the town of Tazewell. References to a highways of the state contained in such provisions and requirements hereby adopted shall be deemed to refer to the streets, highways, and other public ways within the town. Such provisions and requirements are hereby adopted mutatis mutandis. Is that good? All right. Thumbs up. And made a part of this chapter as fully as though set forth at length herein. And it shall be unlawful for any person within the town of Tazewell to violate or fail, neglect, or refuse to comply with any provision of the Code of Virginia, Title 46.2, 46.2-100 et sec, or Code of Virginia, Title 18.2, Chapter 7, Article 2, 18.2-266 et sec, which are adopted by this section, and the Council of the Town of Tazewell does hereby adopt and impose the same penalties for the violation of any provision or requirement hereby adopted as imposed for a similar offense under Code of Virginia, Title 46.2, 46.2-100 et sec, or in Code of Virginia, Title 18.2, Chapter 7, Article 2, 18.2-266 et sec, as amended, subject only to the limitation of the Charter of the Town of Tazewell. Ordinance of 7/14/2026. All right, that was the first reading. I will entertain a motion to accept the ordinance as written.
I'll make a motion. I'll second the motion.
We've got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Do we need a roll call vote on the first one or just on the next two?
Just a motion to waive, not a motion to adopt.
Okay, so all those in favor of accepting the ordinance as written, say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion carries. All right, I'll entertain a motion to waive the second reading.
I'll make a motion.
I've got John first, Dave second. I've got a motion and a second. Any discussion? With this, we'll need a roll call vote. Councilmember Takish? Councilmember Klein?
Aye.
Councilmember Fox?
Aye.
Councilmember Hankins?
Aye.
Councilmember King?
Aye.
Councilmember Willis? This is not everybody else. All right, so with that, the second reading is waived. And I'll entertain a motion to adopt as an emergency ordinance to take effect immediately.
Yep.
We got a motion?
I got a motion, yeah.
All right, got a motion.
Second, yeah.
Any discussion? All right, we'll do another roll call vote on this. I'm going to go in alphabetical order. Councilmember Klein.
Aye.
Councilmember Fox.
Aye.
Councilmember Hankins. Councilmember King.
Aye.
Councilmember Takish.
Aye.
Councilmember Willis.
Aye.
All right, motion carries. All right, that is complete and good. Next, on new business, we have town manager project updates. Manager Regan.
Our Route 460 water line replacement project is continuing. We are waiting on the Virginia Department of Health to give us the approval to tie in the section on Fincastle to the new section that we will be working on. So while we wait on them, there was a small section on Market Street. So instead of being idle, we moved to that section. The line is tied in as of 1:30 today. They will be pressure testing that line and water sample with that line next week. Paving. I think that everybody will agree that we had some paving issues. We were aware of our paving issues, and we have discussed with the paving company that was procured, or was hired out to do that. W&L Construction has come back, milled the road between, on Fincastle, between Peary Street and the bridge there at Nationwide Insurance. They are going to put a leveling agent on the section of road coming up the four-way hill that will take care of the grooves and the bumps that were in the road. So they milled the road last week, and we were told they would be here next week to pave that road. However, before this meeting, I rode that road, and it's so much better, and I'm very appreciative of them working with us to get that issue corrected. I do want to say that they were very commendable with their actions and their apologies for the quality that was given to us. The Rainy lot, the soccer field slash, I think they're calling it Gateway Park for the moment. So Kevin Jones, who is an instructor at Virginia Tech, also has his own architectural company. We held a joint IEDA and council meeting last week and had public come and join, which I thought was fantastic, and I'm very glad that they did. So the consensus for this project has been overall very positive. So I look forward to working on this project and hopefully seeing some great dollars come through. I do have a meeting scheduled next week with DEQ for some possible grounds field or VBAF assistance on that project. The mountain biking project, as you all know, Lake 40 that was working on our comprehensive plan. We went to all of our sites that we have projects on right now, including the mountain biking project. I have to say that was the first time I had ever been all the way out through there. They told me that I drove very well. I'm not going to lie, I was very nervous, but I think I held it together. So Susan and I have also been looking at DCR grants to help us obtain a permanent easement right-of-way for that property. That grant is coming due very soon, and we are looking forward to trying to get that complete and make that a reality for that. Engineering services. So back in June, we had accepted 11 different proposals from engineering services. And out of those 11, we interviewed 6. And we had a very high qualified group of engineers. I was very pleased with the presentations that were made. We had a group of 4 of us on staff that interviewed and scored those. And we're trying something different that I haven't known us to do. We are able to select a primary and a secondary. So we have chosen Thrasher as our primary and Hurt and Profit as our secondary. So that has actually went into effect July the 8th. So we will be kind of transitioning to those companies, and that brings me to the sewer line on the Lowe property as well as the water drainage on the Oakland property. We have a meeting with Thrasher on Thursday at 1:30, and those projects will be looked at by that company. And while we've got them here, I'm also going to go ahead and mention our Gateway Park project. They have a lot of kind of background and experience in that. So I'd like to kind of fill them out and see where they're at on that as well. I will say the water drainage with the Oakland property, I know that Councilmember King had sent me some photos over the weekend of some water issues, not from their home, however, the home behind them. And we had actually already been talking with the property owner, and on Thursday of last week, we took some gravel down and tried to repair their driveway where the water had come off and run it out the driveway. So Saturday evening, Mr. Keene had sent me photos and all those gravels were already washed out. So we went back on Sunday and tried to correct that again. But I'm going to show all of that documentation to Thrasher, and hopefully we will be able to come up with some type of plan to where we can address that water runoff issue.
That water comes from Third Street, you know that.
Slaughter,
Yeah.
down to Third, through the valley there, yeah. Okay, our next issue, air recycling center on Stills Lane. In your packet, I have provided some photos for you, and I've tried to document the date and time that these were taken. I'm trying to kind of pinpoint when air issues are happening, and I'm having a little bit of a struggle to do so. So what our issues are, like, I'm very thankful that folks are using the center. That is fantastic because that keeps that off of roadways, off of their neighborhoods. I love that people are using it. However, we're having people that are putting items in, such as like this picture, you can see there's a dishwasher there. It does say on the dumpster, household bag. And, okay, this photo was taken back in March, and that was in the morning. We are emptying these bins 4 days a week. I want to say there's 3 bins up there, so that's 3 trips back and forth.
You're talking about the 2 bins and the side bins, right?
Yes, correct. That is putting a lot of wear and tear on our tandem dump truck. And that is going to have to come into play with our capital improvement plan, that we will need to be looking at replacing that if we have to continue to empty and to maintain what we are right now. And again, I've tried to document the dates and times. So there are some days I could go in the evening, and there's some days, like this one's at 2:06. There's another photo in here, 1:39, and they're completely empty. So I don't know if it's a day of the week that is worse. I don't know if it's a time of the day that's worse. So my recommendation is temporarily, I would like to staff this location to be there to educate those that are using these facilities. Hey, we're welcome to take your regular household bag garbage. However, construction materials, appliances, what have you, that would be put in there does not actually fit what we are having a service for. That is my recommendation. However, if you don't have ideas, I am more than open to hear.
I would like to see somebody up there every day just about to watch that place and keep it leased up.
Right.
The gravel's there, and when you pull out, you're
Yes.
going in, I like to see that paved, that way people can have,
Okay, so I have a little information on that. Now, I know the exact part that you're talking about when you come out of it onto Maple Street. It is a very big pothole, we'll call it potholes. So it's been brought up before that we pave that area. Those trash trucks are so heavy that asphalt wouldn't really support it that well. It would really have to be concrete if we were to do that.
that'd be good concrete, just slap it down there.
Have you noticed the difference since they put the dumpsters at
Yes.
the fairground?
Yes. So I have been informed that the Bates Valley transfer station and the Grattan Clear Fork transfer station, they are now closed. I understand that at least the Bates Valley one I understand is temporary. However, we are seeing an influx of it, but Is that the only reason? I'm not positive. Some of my staff have told me they think that a independent contractor is being hired to go to apartment complexes, collect their garbage, and they are using their facilities to come into their trailer. And if that's the case, that's not what this is really supposed to be used for. You know, we don't currently have a sign up there that says, you know, limit to 5 bags. You know, it does say, you know, household bag garbage. But we don't mean an apartment complex garbage. So that's why I would like to have someone up there, at least for a little while, and so we can educate people, hey, you know, thank you so much for coming up here. However, this is not exactly the intended use. So please, you know, take your trailer load to the landfill.
So Stan, we kind of had this conversation before. When we put somebody up there and they just ignore them and start.
Well, at that point, they could call us and we would come up and assist them as the agent of the town to say, you're not going to put it here. And if they do it anyways before we get there, then we would have some repercussions for them. There's not an ordinance that I'm aware of, and Mr. Pyatt's talked a couple of times. We really don't have an ordinance that says you can't put no more than 5 bags up there. So we don't have anything to charge them on, but if we have staff up there that is monitoring this, and if that staff member has trouble, then immediately call us and we'll come and work through that trouble. But this is a nightmare for us.
Is the county dump, is it open on Saturdays?
It is.
Yes.
To 4, I think, maybe.
Yeah.
Used to be a half day, but I think they've opened it to 4 now.
Yeah, I was up there this weekend.
Yeah.
So what our process is at the moment, Public Works has to actually take a backhoe up there and smash the dumpsters down just to be able to haul it and empty it. So not only are we having, you know, the staff time and the equipment, having to do that and then haul it as well. That's just a process that shouldn't have to happen if it's maintained right.
In theory, we're going to be hauling the trash off anyway.
Correct.
Right? Because it should just be town people using the dumpsters. And if it's not going to be picked up there,
It's not
I know
even,
it's not.
it's
but
not
in
even just
theory-
people in Virginia, it's other states as well.
I will say this, when we first moved here from Gloucester, which is earlier in Virginia, I was like, wow, you can just go dump your trash? Like, there's nobody there, we had to have a sticker.
We had to have a sticker involved.
Yeah, you know, it was very heavily regulated in
And
what we could
staffed.
do and staffed.
Yes.
And, you know, that's a privilege to have freedom like that, and apparently it's being used. Now, the return on investment to have someone there would be that we don't have to pay for another trash truck or all these, that's going back and forth and gas and this, that, and the other. Would you think, and I know it's, you know, not right now, but that would be worthy of having a staffing, you know, paying for that to that equal out, or?
So, from what I understand, we are now increased to 4 days a week that we are dumping these.
Okay.
It did not used to be that. I think it was like Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
Yeah.
Is what we used to dump. Now we do Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And
Are those gates ever closed?
Yes.
dusk to dawn is open.
They're open too long.
Well, well, Justin thinks trash out, so I don't know, but, thank you. But,
It's not my dishwasher.
Okay, so that's a great idea.
What's that?
It's full during the week.
And the police
Can
don't
we
make it
close
close.
it? Yeah, that's a great idea. However, who's going to monitor that all day, during the day?
Well, what if we close it certain days of
Well,
the
we
week?
find somebody, you know, if it's
We
closed,
used to.
somebody litters, it's
Yeah,
littering.
well, I'm just saying, like,
She's saying that justifies having someone staff there.
Right.
To
And-
tell you, hey, we're full, let's close it.
Another concern, and we've seen it, is if people go up there, they're not going to haul their trash back to their house.
No.
They're going to set it outside the gate. Which means staff's going to have to take that trash that's outside the gate before they can even get into the bins.
Do we not have a camera there?
We do.
Can that be?
Does it take pictures?
standing in
You
church.
have to be at the facility to view.
It was closed, yes, but I don't think you understand the magnitude of trash that the town manager is talking about that comes in there. We would have to have a police officer there continuously for that. I mean, this is a bad situation here.
10% of it's all wrong.
I'm sorry?
10% of it's all dropped in the neighborhood.
Sure.
And again, that's why I've tried to go at different times during the day to see, is it morning, is it evening, is it Tuesday, is it a Thursday? And another issue that we were having, and I'm going to refer to Chris to this one just a little bit. We do have a dumpster diver that likes to frequent the site. We do have signs up that says, do not do that. And so staff has told me that they actually loaded her up and they were taking her to the landfill. They just happened to hear and see her arms and.
Oh, my.
So.
For the record, me and Missy visited her today.
That would fix it.
Presented her with a certified letter.
I just like to add, I saw her this morning when I dumped my stuff.
Oh, so
She's been there, she's
back
in
at
the dumpster.
I mean, it's an issue.
We've had more than that.
Yes, we have. However, with a person up there, and again, I don't know how long temporary is. I don't know, is it a few weeks, is it a month, is it 2 months? I'm not sure. It's to where we can gather some data and kind of figure out what's going on.
Put somebody up there.
Yes, that's my recommendation.
When you first started, I do remember this, that you had, of course, we had towns too.
We did.
I was about to say, how do we make sure that
We just abolished.
it's a town first coming?
Yeah, you would strictly have to go off of a Virginia tag. I mean, that would stop the West Virginia or the Tennessee or out of state, let me put it that way, because I won't pick on any certain state. That would stop out of state stuff coming.
If they're driving, then they got an ID, right?
They do. I don't know if they, that staff could ask for the ID.
You put the person there, and they have the knowledge to know it has to be household trash, nothing commercial. You know, if Bulldog Management sends a contractor with a load of stuff, they don't empty. And if they need the police, they call. You know, put somebody up there with a little backlog. Be done. You can talk this to death. Just do it.
Susan and I were up there and we were pulling out and there was a gentleman in a truck with a trailer pull in. I didn't do nothing but circle right back around and I watched.
It wasn't me.
It was not you, it was not a red truck. So I pulled in there and I approached him and I said, hey sir, how you doing? And what are your intentions? Like, are you putting that lumber in that dumpster? Please don't do that. We're having issues with people using this. And I'm glad you're using it, but please don't put your construction material in it. So.
Yeah.
They have to be known. Next.
That's all.
So wait a minute, time out. Like, so is there somebody gonna be there from dawn to dusk? How many days a week?
So Public Works hours are from 7 to 3:30.
Okay.
And unless you all direct me different, that's what I was going to do.
Okay.
I was in.
That would help.
Some of your part-time stuff. Yeah. Sounds good.
Shut the hours off.
All right.
So I'll bring this back next month
Yes,
and give a status update.
Okay.
So are we leaving the gates as is from
For now.
6 to 6 or whatever it is?
For now.
So if you want to dump your stuff.
Anything else for Manager Reed? Thank you. Next, we have road concerns. Councilmember Fox.
I won't make this quick. Check all the roads and fix them. I don't like to see the checkerboard stuff, it's gotta be paid. Oh, they gotta be paid. Sorry.
Pave all the roads.
And the drainage system, when it floods, have the employees to go around town, or one or two, just check the drainage system to open those back up. That way it won't be so bad, but there's gotta be some work done in reference to the ditches and water lines. Because the water build up and it's flooding, it puts stuff right back into the drainage system. It backs up, it gets out, it overflows. The rec park, I like to see the rec park, put or look into it for a mountain bike for kids out there above the walking trail. If you look into that too, because I've seen it, and there's a good area for you to run and ride your bike and stuff. Other than that, I'm through.
Okay, any discussion or questions from Councilman Fox?
Just to check it, Dave, my grandstanding this evening has been, well, for the last 5 months, has been on the comprehensive plan and trying to do things systematically, and then you just introduced 2 or 3 new concepts to the table.
One concept.
Okay. In regards, I guess Manager Regan typically takes our requests and then she's going to go to work on them. With that not being part of anything that we've discussed in the planning, I would like you to rescind that. That way we don't have to waste our time on exploring trails around Lincolnshire Park. I mean, can you ride your mountain bike around the walking trail around there? Now, you know me, Dave. I love mountain biking, but if we're looking at the laundry list that's coming away from this meeting, this is not one more item that we need to be giving our town manager because it's a distraction from the other work that's been planned systematically. So, are you okay if we table that for now?
Yeah, we'll table it right now.
Any more discussion?
No more from me, get this over with.
Next, we have discussion of automated license plate readers, block cameras, Councilmember Klein.
I'll also make this one quick. What I want to do is generate a conversation and get some chiefs input. We know that automated license plate readers are, we're seeing them pop up more frequently. Last week there was a WDVA article discussing legal conversion as use of the cameras. And so the quick overview, high level look at it, I mean, there's some good to it, right? You have a Amber Alert and so what they are first. What they are automated license plate readers that identify bumper stickers that use the license plate to get the make, type of the vehicle and the color of the vehicle. So you have a situation like an Amber Alert, you'll be able to go to the gonculator, red truck. Boom, you're going to get all the trucks that have passed through that passive detection for whatever period you're putting. The bad. So, like, we can all agree, anything that can help save a life, especially that of a kid, fantastic. The bad, this is persistent surveillance, and the data has not, allegedly, because I don't want to defame the company, but allegedly there's security issues surrounding the data. If you're around a tinfoil hat, but it's persistent surveillance that it can be paired with other data in my previous life, and you build profiles on people this way. We have seen there's at least two cases out in Minneapolis where there's been police officers use these to stalk their ex-girlfriends. So this data can be abused. I want to generate a conversation, not come up with a resolution tonight, but I think what's a reasonable solution for this would be to, before we ever permit the implementation of a block camera or an automated license plate reader within the town of Tazewell, it has to be reviewed by council for the implementation of that contract. So there's that. And do we have any thoughts on these automated license plate readers?
I have had a couple of meetings with 2 different companies in the past 8 to 10 months. With the repercussion that I was seeing in the public throughout the state, I didn't want to battle that until someone else gave me direction to battle that. What we have to be concerned about is they have to go on private property or town property. They can't be on any VDOT property. If we have money such as VDOT roads, they can't be placed upon that VDOT property. it would have to be either a private entity or something that the town owns to grant those. There is a grant out there that we could possibly get that could possibly pay for 3 of those. And we've cycled that a couple times, and I guess like getting married, you got cold feet, and I backed out, and I left it alone until someone gave me direction that they wanted to do. But I'm more than willing to have those conversations again if that's what. Is it a valuable tool? Absolutely. It's a very valuable. Is it a headache? It is a major headache. Because you're battling it all the time with the citizens of fussing that you're monitoring every move. And it's not that way, and nobody has taken the time to educate the citizens that that's not, there's nobody sitting there watching those day in, day out. As you said, if you got a stolen vehicle and it goes through there, it alerts whoever you're connected with. It alerts us and them this stolen vehicle or Amber Alert has come through. But there's nobody that monitors that continuously. It would be impossible. I mean, we can't even monitor our trash station.
Yeah, well, I was just gonna say, that's the reason for putting that safeguard on it. If it is a hot button topic, that gives you the ability to sit behind, use your council as a shield, basically, city council and.
Absolutely, and if that's what
representation
you guys direct me to do, we'll start those conversations immediately with those companies again.
No, I'm not directing.
Sure, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
If that's what the council wants to do.
I'm just saying we get approval authority on it. That's what I'm saying.
Sure.
What limited knowledge I have, this right here tracks you far more than a flock camera would. That's what limited knowledge I have, and I will leave it at that.
And we've actually
The apps on your
used that
phone, yeah, the apps on your
this
phone,
week on certain days, but
They
yes.
track far more.
Yes. Yes.
All right. Any more discussion?
I don't know what the language looks like for us to have, is that just an understanding, operating agreement, how we make that binding to where, before that occurs, it must be approved by council prior to implementation. That gives us a chance to review the contract. I guess that's where I need help with the language, whatever we need to say, Mr. Brad, for.
And what I can do is reach out to those companies. I can reach out to sister agencies. I know that in Bluefield and Richlands has, they've got 2. Richlands has only got 1 system, and it's not flock. They get beat up all the time because they got flock cameras. They don't have flock cameras. Bluefield does have a few, but they also got what Richlands has got, and they're able to go in at any time and pull that up if they have a crime in that area to look for that certain vehicle. I will reach out to our sister agencies and get a rough contract of theirs of what they got, and I'll present that to Mr. Pyatt and town manager.
In regards to the contract for like the implementation of that passive collection tool, I'm not interested in that. On our side, what I'm interested in is descriptive language that we can adopt that enables council to have final approval before any automated license plate readers are placed in the town of Castle. And there's municipality Appleton, I don't know if it's Virginia or West Virginia, but they're going through this currently, so perhaps they have language. But
Do they need a vote? I mean, I could just go on the direction.
I think so.
Okay.
So that's it?
Now, this direction on it, and then we'll proceed, come back and make a recommendation next month as to what you think is going to be the best course.
Okay. One more thing for unfinished business.
Bring some popcorn for next time. Take that, guys.
Next item on the agenda, we have Black Horse Road, litter pickup, got the rains.
This afternoon, I was approached by a citizen that lives on Black Horse Road, and they stated that their garbage had only picked up twice in the last 24 years. However, they've been paying monthly fees for that. And I think I spoke with Manager Reading prior to the council meeting. I think we have an understanding.
I will sincerely apologize. I was not aware of that. However, we provide that service. They pay for that service. We need to provide that service. I will find out from staff in the morning, is there an issue to get to the property, with the garbage truck, that's a possibility. It's in the pickup truck to get it. But yes, I will find out why we haven't gone.
Like I said, her three options, she said, one, she'd like to see it up here, North Tazewell, or two, not pay the $15 per month, or just, I'll just pick her.
Trash up.
Yeah, so.
I'll work on that.
So good, any more discussion on that?
Before we get to miscellaneous, my fault. I don't know where I was at, but back to the Stills Lane Recycling Center. If we're gonna put somebody there from 7 to 3:30, I think it should open at 7 and shut at 3:30. It shouldn't
Why don't they
be
open it, they
from
open
6
it,
to
they
6.
shut it.
Yeah, when they get there, they open it, when they leave, they shut it. Cause if you leave at 3:30, I'm coming at 4, bro.
They'll figure out the pattern pretty quick, right?
Yep.
I think
I'm not saying that
it's
you
been
can't
such
close
an
it,
issue.
that's not the end of the workday.
Well, then don't put somebody there.
I think it's such an issue. If it's such an issue, then at least for the next little bit, it needs to be like, hey, almost like naughty, you've abused it. Let's put somebody here, and this is why, and now it's open, now it's closed. Now, if we go through in the future, then that's fine, but I think it's, because our hands are kind of tied. We can't do anything legally. Like, we can't, so this is and if I'm wrong, but this is more of a privilege that they have this, right? This is not like.
Correct.
If we're gonna be using part-time help, we could probably stagger hours to where you have 2 different people watch it throughout, from dawn to dusk, right? Possibly.
Maybe. So my thoughts with part-time staff. Most of the time, part-time staff doesn't have key accessibility. They don't have to clock in, clock out. That's my first thought with that. We did it on a different schedule, but we could. Work.
Is it to like 6 p.m. or like what would be the
Daylight till dark?
Daylight.
Well,
So the police department opens it and closes it, right? Normally, I'm seeing them around 6:45 in the morning. I see them unlock it.
Yeah, when day shift comes in, they go open it, and then when night shift comes in, they go back and lock it.
That's a lot. We're asking for trouble on my, I mean, I'm not trying to, but like, here you go, like, and that's what you get.
Landfill's only open 8 to 4.
Does that mean you're getting a full promotion?
But we were going under direction, and we've already passed that agenda item.
I will be bringing it back next month to give you all a status update.
Yeah, give it a status.
It's not gonna change because, I mean, you let a kid do something, you go behind mom and dad's back and they leave, so, whatever.
All right, next we have council comments. Open the floor I'm sorry, miscellaneous public comments. Sorry.
Yes, sir. I have Dale Hill that I noticed he's gone, and I have a Kayla Chandler, and noticed she's gone, and I have Miss Amy Patterson.
Come on forward and stick your name and address. No, come on forward.
I'm not but I'm not teaching chemistry. Okay, so I live right over here, as y'all know. And the deer are so out of control. I don't know if anybody else is having this problem, but I can't keep anything, and I can't walk through the yard without having tons of poop piles and then the dog eating it and puke in my house.
Oh, ours rolling.
It's real.
Ours rolling. I've
we're rolling it too, and oh my goodness. But is there anything the town can do? I was told years ago, the town doesn't know the problem if we don't go tell, and I've been too chicken. And Walker got it on board, and I went, okay, fine, I'll study. So, that's where it comes. And I know you guys that live in the peak have got it even worse than us, because like I go up there and I go, holy crap.
We got bear and everything.
Yeah, but it's bad, I mean, it's bad. I've got I call them a flock, I know they're not a flock, but every night they're laying.
My dog, I'm living in a different town, my dog eats it and pukes in the house every day, and I'm ready to kill every daggone one of them. There is nothing that, honestly, that the police department department can do, it's a wildlife management problem, and they're not going to do anything about it. But what the town could possibly do is open up a season and let these people kill these stupid things. I don't know how many cars we've been through, they're killing us in insurance, them and the bears right now, they are absolutely.
You can tell the ones, they know they're in town, because they just turn around. And then the closer you get up to the peak, the bigger bucks, they're like, ooh, you know, because they know that they're all, you know.
So I don't know enough about town archery. I know that there is a code on it. I know that there has to be a certain amount of property.
2 acres.
2 acres that.
There should be combined acreage between.
Combined acreage.
Well, I think the way this code says it has to be your acreage, but.
You can't get rid of it.
So I do know
You're not gonna force it on the
Marion
same.
Police Department to kill them.
Really?
They had to have gotten something from
The department.
Yeah, I can find out more.
I can call you.
That might have been an encephalitis or
No,
tick-borne
they were
or
having the
Waste-
same problems we
waste
have.
the waste disease.
Yes. We all.
All these deer are pretty funny to me.
All right, well, so any more discussions on that? So when we first got on here, that's when we changed it. It used to be 5 acres
Oh, okay.
and 12 feet off the ground. Then we got it changed to 2 acres, 10 feet off the ground. You know, there's, like, if we look at somewhere in Nova, and in Denver, you know, pick your poison.
Yeah.
There's urban archery up there that occurs in even tighter locations. So we could, and I think Manager Dave back in the day had concerns about arrows running through the area. And, you know, he was a big hunter himself. But so I think it's a personal preference and discretion. So also you gotta be vetted, right? You gotta register with the police department before you're able to hunt.
They do, there's really no reason for that, but yes, that's part of what's in the.
So you know who's hunting.
Yeah,
But
even though we really don't know. But yes,
we could make the restrictions even less by reducing the
Well,
acreage.
we want to be
The
safe.
restrictions were, I thought the guidelines were created by.
No, it used to be 5 acres, and I think council. That was the town rule.
Oh, okay.
And I think council voted with the last town manager and took it back to 2 acres, if I remember correctly.
First thing we did.
So I don't know if, and I can find out on the acreage if there's something with the Virginia Department of Game Fisheries. I don't know that they truly have a stipulation. I think it's just a town ordinance that specifies that. Of course, it would have to be a safety issue.
We can explore, change the matter.
And I'm going to reach out to Marion tomorrow to see what Ms. Patterson is talking about too.
Okay.
And if they give me a card, try to tell Susan about it.
Oh,
She made it all up.
So, any more public
yes,
comment?
Mr. Justin Takish.
Oh, good.
Yay! For time's sake,
Ms. Deborah Wilson as well then.
Real quick, so on that, if council wanted to take that down to 1 acre, I've got 2 apple trees in my backyard. Deer love to eat from them, and I got a good backstop. I promise I'll be good. My deck's probably about 10 foot off the ground, so we could thin them out a little bit up there. Deer jerky for everybody. Anyway. All right, so we're up here, Brad and council, appreciate y'all, everything you do. I just wanted to read this because I wanted to challenge the vote that happened here this evening on the Route 16 rally application, okay? According to standard parliamentary procedure, like Robert's Rules of Order, abstentions are not counted as cast votes. They are simply recorded for the minutes to acknowledge a member was present but chose not to influence the decision. Therefore, the result with what we had tonight, we had 3 ayes, 2 nays, 1 abstention, okay? And what I'm reading here says that motion passes with a simple majority of 3 ayes and 2 nays. I don't know if there's something in the town code or whatever that trumps that, but, okay, if you could educate me then.
It's, the town can only act through ordinance or resolutions. They're not passing an ordinance, so that's the same effect as a resolution. Under 3A of ordinances relative to that, nothing can be passed except on the affirmative vote of at least 4 members unless it's parliamentary procedure.
Okay.
So that's what I'm dealing with, at least 4 members. And so that's why I'm reading this.
Okay.
I went back into the minutes and we had a 3-2 before in March, I believe.
April.
March or April.
It was April.
3-2 and it passed.
Well, it shouldn't
It
have.
said the motion passed or the motion carried.
It's
in the minutes.
it's the April
I just
14th.
like clarity.
Okay, well, you got it. It shouldn't have, that's all I can tell you.
Well,
How do we resolve that then? Because we literally passed back in April with the 3, it was actually, and to even be more correct, the minutes are wrong. Because if you watch the video, we had 2 abstentions. We had 3 ayes, 1 nay, with Mr. Willis abstaining and Beth Tackett abstaining because of the conflict. So we had 3 ayes, 1 nay, 2 abstentions, and that vote passed.
All I can tell you is it shouldn't have. That's all I can tell you.
can we get this in writing that it shouldn't
Well,
have, or can
look,
we go?
if you want to go that route,
No.
never go that route. All I'm telling you is here tonight, I'm reading what our code calls for.
Well, I think
And if it
we
happens-
deserve to understand
And
the
I'm telling you.
process again.
I'm just saying, it
We want to make sure
shouldn't
that
have
we're proper.
happened. It shouldn't have happened.
So
It
at-
did. And now you have, and I'm telling you, council tonight, they've got to have 4 votes.
At
I
that
wasn't
meeting-
asking, you go back and look at the minutes, I probably wasn't asking. I don't-
No,
I
at
don't
that
remember
meeting,
the
you weren't there. There was a stand-in.
So we gotta tighten up our shot group is what we're saying.
Oh, I'm sorry. I've got a question on that. What section were you in the code?
Charter 3A,
Charter 3A.
ordinances.
Hey, the only, I'm learning something on the, you said unless parliamentary proceedings? Could you clarify that? What does that entail?
In terms of, like if you have, for purposes of selecting a vice mayor, for example, or someone who presides over the meetings, you can have an actual 3-2 vote there in order to carry out your proceedings for the meetings. Give you an example.
But you can't have a 3-2 vote to approve an application for an event?
You cannot.
What is that? What
Council acts through ordinance or resolution. The resolution is effectively then a vote.
Which one does applying to have an event in town fall under, ordinance or resolution?
Resolution was ordinance is the law of the town, code of ordinances.
Was there 2 votes that day? One for the ordinance and one for the road closure?
I don't know.
Tonight, we fell under a road closure.
Okay.
We never made it to the other votes
Correct,
because of
correct.
road closure.
Correct, they
So,
tabled that one because it's my understanding we're gonna come back in, reconsider that after some discussion about revisiting that vote.
So
they never
are the
got to
minutes
second.
incorrect then? And is
According
there
to
a
the
remedy,
video,
is
yeah.
there a remedy for?
Yeah.
I mean, I just don't want to make it right, you know, we want to make sure
So-
we follow the proper protocol.
Right, and it sounds like we made an error in following that protocol in April. And
May have, that's all I can say.
I just like to have what we need to do in writing. I just like to have that proper protocol together so that we have something in writing that said it wasn't correct and we shouldn't have. I just think we deserve
So
to
you want
have it in writing.
Written legal opinion on what occurred.
I think so.
Or I guess
I
we should make a
think,
statement as a council about that. We made an error in following the procedure.
But the event happened, and I mean, there was no, you had no repercussion from the error,
no,
correct? Okay.
no, but we do tonight because we had the same 3-2 dissension.
The error before
We decided-
benefited.
Well, let's just say
It
that
benefited.
we
It
included
benefited.
that
If it
for
benefited
future
the town,
time.
Mr. Willis.
No,
But-
I guess it benefited all of us then.
So, but it needs to be proper. I mean, you shouldn't have to, this discussion.
You see how the optics of it though is it creates confusion when You have
It's
the
not
motion.
confusion, it was a mistake because Mr. Pike wasn't here.
And mistakes create confusion. When a mistake is made and something passes with 3-2, and then 2 months later, it fails with the 3-2, that creates confusion.
No, I disagree. If there was an error that was made and now you know why.
We can-
Are you confused about it now?
Oh, no, it's clear, yeah.
Okay, so that's where we are.
Okay,
That's where we are.
And that'll be recorded in our minutes.
It will, this all this is being recorded.
fantastic.
All the minutes are open, they're all recorded, so yes.
All right.
Anything else?
Now, we'll have, I think we'll, want to do it properly.
I think you've heard that. I think that in the end, it's going to be, well, I can't say. That's for them to decide. I think it's probably where it benefited from an error that the council made. A lot of folks maybe benefited from that respect in terms of how the vote went down and the services were provided, the event was held. And now you're having it to where it was not, because I'm saying procedurally, you need to get it right, that's what you're wanting us to do. And that's going to happen. It looks like there's also going to be a subsequent meeting of the minds for this project where it's going to be resolved in favor of having, most likely, I'm speculating now, but it sounds like it's going to work out. And everything is going to end up where everyone's going to be on the same page, and everybody's probably going to be very happy about it. So, I think so. But I think we're all, you understand, 4 votes to pass. I'll state that for the record. I'm looking at the camera. You got to have 4 on any type of decision that's not parliamentary procedure.
Yes, sir.
Bottom line.
Regardless of abstentions.
Regardless of abstention. And again, I'm reading black and white.
Roger that.
4 affirmative votes, regardless of abstention. And you may be right with regard to Robert's Rules of Order, because again, I don't have.
That's why I brought it up, though.
I don't have that, and it's one where, well, I won't get into whether or not the town's adopted that specific. But for purposes of the charter and the code, and dealing with that, you have to have quorum to call the meeting, and then you, for any affirmative votes to pass anything, you're gonna have to have 4 of those who are present and can vote.
So if you only have 4. Right, if you only have 4 show up,
Unanimous? Yes, sir.
what if the 4 include somebody who has to abstain because of
Can't do
conflict?
it. You cannot have a vote that night on that issue to pass.
Oof, gotta love government, I appreciate it all.
Yeah, that's the way it always works.
Yes, sir.
Thank you all. If you have any other questions,
I do.
give me a call.
I'll send you an email.
Give me a call. It's now 10:45.
Yes.
All right, next on the agenda is council comments. Anybody have any comments?
Make a motion that we adjourn.
A motion and a second, any discussion?
Good comment.
All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, nay.
Now that you in charge, I will make an announcement for everybody's here for our Wagner Park. Billy Wagner will be in Bluefield on Thursday, doing an autograph signing, bobblehead night, with the public. And so, you all can come out and see. He's coming in after the All-Star game tonight, just for that.